All right, everybody, welcome back to Remotely Wasted. If it's your first time joining us, don't be selfish. Hit the subscribe button.
Smash
Feeling
the subscribe button, as they say.
Oh yeah. If you're feeling extra nice, hit a like.
Ooh,
If you want to hate on us, comment.
yeah.
Hit us with all three.
I'll fight you in the comments.
Yeah. So this is our reaction to the final regular season week of this season. We got the college football playoff rankings pulled up. We're filming this on Tuesday. They just announced those. There's a lot of changes, a lot of big changes in this. The table is pretty much set. There's like six real contenders for the playoffs at this moment. We can start down at the bottom with NC State getting in after that upset against North Carolina.
Yeah, that was a double overtime game. I didn't think NC State really had a shot at this game. They're on like their fucking fourth quarterback of the year.
I saw that. He's like a true freshman, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them. Like, I'm surprised they've won 8 games. Like, I think Devin Leary went out against us, and that was like week 6.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've gotten two. They were undefeated at that time, so they've gotten 2 wins, and then they've like lost 4. So I mean, it's better than at least they made a bowl game too, so that's cool.
Pretty badass.
Big upset. I like it. Fucking ruined North Carolina's season a little bit.
Yeah, North Carolina, they dropped 6 spots. Honestly, could have dropped more considering they're back to back, just terrible games. But they
Um,
are they are they are playing Clemson this weekend. They could possibly redeem themselves, get a trip to the Orange Bowl or whichever New Year's Six Bowl they get into if they win.
North Carolina is so weird. They're so good at times, and then they're not. So like, depending on which team shows up against Clemson, they might get walked. But Clemson's offense is kind of bad. Outside, Will Shipley is their offense. So
Absolutely.
I think that's gonna be probably one of like the worst of the championship games, like the conference championship games.
Honestly,
I've
like this, like if we're being honest, all these conference championship games don't look that entertaining besides
Now
like
the
the
Big Ten one
TCU.
was kind of bummy.
Like
The
TCU
big
K State looks good. Like besides that, like I don't know.
Pac-12 we get a rematch, USC Utah,
That's the most impactful one, like the potential to impact the rankings.
and then yeah, I don't see LSU beating Georgia after they just lost.
You called it.
Oh yeah, we'll go ahead. Your boys 3-0 on fucking on picks, on upset picks. I'm goaded.
I
And
uh
I'll
I
you know
ruined it.
I'll call 3.5 because I did pick Michigan to beat Ohio State the majority of the year, and then I flipped because Blake Corum was hurt, and then they walked their ass. So I'll take a half one on that.
I took the L on the Notre Dame USC game, and it pained me. It hurt watching that game. I was so upset because I was just thinking back. I was like last year. I was like, OU was in the same position, win 2 games in their end, and now it's USC. It's
I
just
mean,
terrible to watch. And Caleb, I mean, I think he's gonna win the Heisman either way. Like really thinking about it, which we'll get into the whole Heisman thing, but
we'll see.
it's looking strong in his favor. North Carolina, man, they jumped so far up, which is or South Carolina, I mean, they jumped so far up, which is
Hey,
really nice to see.
I'm for it. I think the way they've been playing, on paper or not on paper, but like the way they've been playing has been better than all of these teams. I mean, outside of maybe Texas. So I mean, you could maybe argue flipping these two, but they beat two top 10 teams in back-to-back weeks after having a pretty shitty season to start. So what a come up.
Yeah, they're really catching their stride. It's good to see, Radler playing well once again back to back weeks. I'm curious to see if he stays because they just lost their offensive coordinator. He went with Matt Rule to Nebraska, and
Well,
now Spencer Radler's not so sure about his future there in South Carolina. And it really sucks because I think a big part of it, like the reasons for his struggles early on was because he wasn't used to the system.
it's a rattler in Nebraska.
That might be his best course of action if he wants to just
I
hop in
mean,
and play good.
follow your offensive coordinator. I mean, Nebraska, I wouldn't say they're a better team, but I feel like they would be able to recruit better this offseason with a pretty good college head coach.
They're a bigger brand and they got a bigger name at the head coaching position.
Yeah, and then if maybe they can swing him to come over, they can maybe recruit some or flip some wide receivers. They're like, oh shit, we got old Spencer Rattler at QB. He was cooking at the end of the last year.
Transfer portal's heating up. There's a lot of guys that have already popped in.
A lot of there's like a couple Alabama guys bouncing.
A lot of A&M guys, like 6 A&M guys so far.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some Clemson people abandon ship. Maybe some Tennessee people, because well, no, Hendon Hooker, if he leaves, then I would maybe imagine some of them players will transfer out.
Yeah, I mean Hendon Hooker's a senior, so he's leaving. It depends on how they feel about their
Yeah, he is a
backup.
senior. Yeah, he has to leave.
So I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of just potential for. I think after the Clemson North Carolina game, we'll see a lot of Clemson. I wouldn't say a lot of Clemson players, but probably like a handful of them enter the transfer portal. I could easily
Fucking
see DJ doing
DJ's a
it.
bum, bro.
I think DJ is poorly coached at the moment.
I don't think he's good. Tulane 10-2. Remember when Tulane was undefeated and we was like, let's go.
Tulane
10-2
man,
solid end of the season. I'm for it. They'll
you see
be
their coaches leaving.
they'll be the power the non-group of 5 team to make the New Year's Six game.
That's what it's looking like. Their coach, it looks like, is nearing. He's in talks to accept the position with Georgia Tech, which I think is actually a poor choice on Georgia Tech's part because they've played really well under this interim coach on the
Yeah.
stretch. So I get it, but I don't, because at the same time you got a guy that your players already really like.
Do you know who the assistant coach, like what was his position before he got the interim? Like,
I have not done enough research on that. I just know his last name was Key. It was like Coach Key.
maybe they could get him to be like, like assistant coach or something like that. Like
That's what happened at Auburn. What's his face? Hugh Freeze took the position, and then they kept Cadillac Williams as an assistant head coach, which I think, since we're probably not going to touch on this again, I don't think it was a good move on either side. Like, I think it was bad move on Hugh Freeze's part to leave a pretty good spot he had at Liberty that had a lot of potential. I think you stated it in one of the episodes. Like, he could easily make the top 12 playoff
with an
like
undefeated Liberty team. Yeah,
pretty
guaranteed.
routinely. And then from Auburn's perspective, your players already liked Cadillac Williams. Hugh Freeze wasn't the guy you really wanted. You really wanted Lane Kiffin. I say, why not give Cadillac Williams like another year, see what he can do, and then wait for a bigger name, somebody you really want to come up. But now you're stuck with Hugh Freeze for the next 4 years.
I still think Hugh Freeze is a good hire. He's gonna do pretty well. I believe so.
The SEC was not his friend with all. There's so much controversy. I think he's a good coach. I think he's an outstanding coach. He doesn't have the fan support behind him at the moment. I don't know how the players will feel about him.
Yeah.
It was a smart move for him to keep Cadillac Williams on staff. I think that eases a lot of the tension and kind of keeps some continuity to the team.
I don't know why you wouldn't keep him there. I mean, he knows more about like what's going on. You have to have someone to do like a little changeover with.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. I think give it, if Auburn, knowing Auburn, that's the problem.
To like 2
They
years.
give coaches like 2 years. He really needs like all 4 years.
I think you need like minimum 3 years to rebuild as like a program. Like look at Matt Rule, Temple 3 years, Baylor 3 years, Norvell 3 years.
You need a minute. You can't, like, the first year is gonna be bad.
Because it might take at least 2 years to get the players that are there out that you might not even want, and then at that point you're finally getting some of your guys that are kind of filling out the whole team. So you have your whole system going by, like, for the most part, by year 3.
Yeah, usually, yeah, year 3, year 4. That's when you start to get to the point where this is your guy for some time, where you need to cut your losses.
Yeah.
So we got LSU dropping behind Florida State, which is fair because they lost to Florida State.
Yeah, what about Oregon losing to Oregon State? They got ran up on in the fourth quarter.
Oregon State's a good team, like way better than I thought they were.
That's a chop team. Bo Nix was hurt. Like he had like a foot injury of some sort. Like his shit was all taped up, so he wasn't able to run. I think if he was able to, move out of the pocket well, they probably would have won comfortably. So that's unfortunate for them, but you hate to see it.
I really wanted to see Oregon in the Pac-12 championship. I thought they had a really good shot of just running all over USC's defense, which is not a good defense.
I mean, even if they did win and Bo Nix was still hurt, they'd probably lose that game too.
That's true. I mean, Utah does have a good shot in that game. It's just, did they use all of the tricks they had against USC the first time is the question.
It's going to be a shootout. It's probably going to at least be in the 40s points wise. Like it was it 43, 42 the first time?
Yeah, they did a 2-point conversion at the end to seal the deal.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be around the same, maybe even a little bit more. Washington 10-2 and not making the Pac-12 championship. You hate to see it.
That's sad. Like I kind of hate the way it's set up because they're clearly like, I wouldn't say they're better than Utah, but they probably are more deserving at this point. But because they have 2 conference losses, they're not going to get in.
That's crazy. I'd be upset. I bet they do feel a little slighted. I don't know. They're gonna fuck somebody up in one of the New Year's 6 games or New Year's 6 games.
I could see it. I'm kind of like looking at these teams, like what would be a good matchup. I think Washington, Penn State would be really cool.
I think
Say,
Washington blows them out.
Say USC and Ohio State. Somehow, but
Uh,
actually, USC's probably or USC and Ohio State probably both can't make it at this current moment.
USC's making the playoff more than likely. I think the top 4 is like good.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the playoff show and they were pretty convinced that if TCU lost, they would still get in. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily know if that's true because I think a 1-loss TCU versus a 1-loss Ohio State. I think Ohio State kind of
Ohio State hasn't played anybody. Their one good win is Penn State, and then Notre Dame's
Dame.
wins looking not so good anymore. TCU would have one loss to a top 10 K-State team. So I would still put TCU in over Ohio State like 4. And their resume, like if you look at it, like arguably they should be the number 1 team in the rankings. They have way more top 25 wins. Their strength of schedule is higher. All around their resume is way better than Georgia and Michigan. Granted, all the ranked teams that they did play aren't really ranked anymore. So
that's kind of my argument with the whole thing with TCU is their wins looked really good at the time. Like almost all of them did. And then they kind of, as the season went on, didn't look as impressive as they
I still think they're good. The Big 12 is a absolute gauntlet. Like it's not as hard as the SEC, obviously, but it's like it's just all over the fucking place, and you could lose to anybody.
It's probably the hardest conference this season. Just the amount of battles they've had. I think every team except for West Virginia is bowl eligible in the Big 12, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it's like you lose one game and like your momentum's just gone. Like look what happened to OSU. They lost a game, fucking lost the remainder of them. Kansas lost their QB, lost pretty much the rest of their games. Texas is kind of coming up. OU, I mean, they have somewhat excuses for their losses, like Dylan Gabriel being hurt. Just not playing. Like one loss, it ruins you.
It really does. TCU did prove to me though that they might have a chance against some of these teams because they played Iowa State this weekend, which I know Iowa State's not a very good team, but they have a top 10 defense and they rolled all over that defense.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. So it's looking like they'll probably play Georgia game 1. I hope it's not going to be like an Alabama Cincinnati game and they actually compete. I think it could be a decently high scoring game because Georgia's probably going to score almost every drive. TCU is going to have to find some magic to beat them. Michigan USC is going to be really interesting. Granted, if USC wins out, Michigan's defense has looked really, really good in that Ohio State win. If JJ McCarthy plays like he did, I don't see them losing that game unless Caleb Williams throws for like 600 somehow.
Yeah, I think Michigan should be the number 1 team in my opinion. I think they've all around looked more complete than Georgia has. Granted, Georgia had a really good win against Oregon. They had a win against Tennessee, but they also struggled like against Missouri, where they really looked like they're in trouble. And they started like 3 or 4 games this season really, really slow in the first half. There's probably
Michigan,
only
Michigan
one
had
game I
a
thought Michigan was in trouble, is the Maryland and
Michigan
then
had
Illinois.
like 2 or 3 where it was like relatively close. Georgia, I think, just has like one better win than Michigan, and that's South Carolina too. Like that win's just getting better.
That is true.
Because Michigan's only beat Ohio State, Penn State. Georgia's beat Oregon, South Carolina, and Tennessee, and TCU's beat like fucking 5 or 6 ranked teams. And then USC's only beat UCLA and
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. So, let's see. Clemson losing to fucking South Carolina and only dropping 1 spot. I feel like they should be dropped a little more.
Yeah, I saw that and I thought that was really, really weird that they're so far above Washington.
I would be cool with like if you're gonna put 10 and 2 Washington at 12, I'd be okay with switching those two, like the 9 and 12 spot. Like put Clemson at 12 and put Washington at 9.
I don't understand. Clemson didn't look good at all. They struggled like in almost any decent team they played this year.
Yeah,
They struggled in those games, and then it really came out in the South Carolina game how the defense is really weak, and
Notre Dame beat their ass.
yeah, the like DJ isn't very good. The backup really isn't that good either.
Did they play him this past weekend?
They didn't play him this past weekend. Uh, South Carolina, that special team performance. I don't know how much of that game you watched, but they're punting it within like 5 yards.
That
They
shit's
were
so like
crazy.
demoralizing. Like drive after drive after drive, the punter just pinning you back. You're like, Jesus Christ! You got to go the whole field. Your offense ain't really working too well, and all you can do is run the ball. It's hard to move the ball 90 yards or so, mostly on the ground. Very hard.
That special teams coordinator, man, he better be getting a head coaching job soon, man. That dude is nuts.
Hey, shit, we'll take him. Can he coach defense?
You never know. That dude put together a great special teams unit.
Hell
That might be
yeah.
the best special teams performance I've ever seen in my entire life.
I'll
As
have to
far
go
as
back and watch.
multiple
I
point,
have to go
like
back and
five
watch the highlights.
nuts. And then the one bad punt they had, they fumbled. Like Clemson fumbled it.
What games was I watching this past weekend? Uh, let's see. I obviously watched our game. I didn't watch too much football this weekend because I was in Colorado these 2 days. So I didn't watch any of those. Got back right before this game.
Yeah, Florida State was the only one I actually watched on Friday. And then Saturday I watched a few.
I watched the Michigan Ohio State game mainly. And then this game was way fucking. I don't have an answer for that. Jesus Christ. This game was on way too late, so I think I already went to bed. I watched a little bit of this Auburn Alabama game, like I think the whole first quarter, and then Alabama started pulling away. And then I watched a couple drives of this game. Who else did I watch? I think that's it. Cause yeah, by the time I got home, it was right before the FSU game, and then the next day I just watched this, and then I can't remember.
I rotated like a few games. So I started off with Ohio State, Michigan, and then Ohio State really came out of that. The start of that game looking really good, and I was like, Michigan is screwed. So
I thought it was gonna be a blowout.
I flipped the channel. Georgia Tech at the time, like it was about halfway through the first quarter, they were beating Georgia. So I was like, I'm gonna watch this game for a little bit. That game started going south. So I just switched back to Michigan, Ohio State, and then Michigan just started pouring it on about like end of the second quarter throughout the rest of the game.
Anything else standing out before we get into our personal top 6?
The only thing that really, or like the only conversation that's really stood out Actually, I guess we could get into it in the top six. We'll get into our top six and then
I think this AP poll makes a little more sense. Like see, they got Washington above Clemson.
yeah.
I would still move. Honestly, I'd put us like I'd put K State at 11, Utah at 12, and then I'd still have us at 13, and then LSU at 14. So like this one makes a little more sense.
So I have a theory. You know how we have been talking about Texas this whole
Dude, yeah, I'm surprised they're not up here at 12, winning again.
I think it's actually it might not be because they like Texas so much. I think it might be because Alabama beat them to boost Alabama's schedule. I didn't think about it
Ooh.
until today, but I was like, that might be why they keep moving Texas so far up to make Bama's schedule look better.
Well, that helps TCU out as well, 'cause they
Yeah,
also
so
beat
it's
them.
kind of a catch 22.
I don't see a way Alabama gets in unless if USC has to lose, but I still wouldn't put Alabama in over a one-loss Ohio State. It just makes no sense. And they both aren't gonna have a conference championship. So the ACC champion's not getting in. Well, I don't know, maybe because yeah, two-loss Clemson's not gonna get in over one-loss Ohio
Yeah,
State.
so the only way Ohio State and Alabama would both get in is if TCU got blown out by K
Yeah,
State
and
and
USC
USC
loses.
loses. That's the only way they both get in, and I don't think
God, that'd be terrible.
I think those are both losable games for both of those teams, but
That would
I
shit
don't
would
think
actually
both of
be
them will lose.
that would be crazy because Ohio State would slide into third. It'd be a rematch, Michigan, Ohio State, and then Georgia, Alabama. That'd be crazy. That would honestly be a crazy first round. I'm not gonna lie. I still think Georgia beats Alabama's ass, and I think Michigan would probably win again. I don't think it'd be as far of a spread this
I
time.
think it might be worse because they're playing in Ohio State.
That is true. That is true. That was crazy. This first time they beat them in
It's like
fucking
20 something
Ohio
years.
since 2000. That's insane.
The
It's their
tie,
first, and I think it's their first back-to-back wins against Ohio State in like I don't. It's been a long time. I think since like maybe like '06 or some shit.
the
Oh
tide's
no, because it
shifting
would have to
back.
be before 2000 because they alternate. So I think it was
Yeah,
maybe like I don't know 99,
probably the late
2000.
'90s because they won a championship in like '97. So Michigan was really good around that time. So probably in the '90s, but
That's
I think
crazy.
it's starting to shift back Michigan's direction. Michigan looks like they have a strong hold on this rivalry right now.
Yeah, they're gonna. Ohio State might be in a rough spot next year, losing CJ, and then they're gonna lose Smith and Jigba. Pretty sure he's going.
They'll
And
still have
then
Marvin Harrison Jr., which will be a good.
I wonder if they'll still have what is it, Igbuka or Igbuke or some shit. I think it's
I
Igbuka.
almost want to say he's leaving.
Yeah, that guy's good.
It's not looking great. And then they lost. Didn't they lose like a 4 or 5 star quarterback to Florida State recently?
4 star. But he's not even like coming next year. He's like I think 2 years from college.
Okay.
I think because say ideally he did come next year. We still would have Jordan if he comes back, which I don't know why he wouldn't. Because I think at this point he'd probably go in like the third or fourth round, maybe fifth at the latest. And then if he comes back next year and plays like he is now, then he's going, I think, first, second round.
Yeah, he's got
Um,
a good chance to build his draft stock if he comes back.
and then we have AJ Duffy, who would be a junior at that point. He'd be starting as a junior, and then this kid coming in would be he'd probably redshirt, so he'd be a sophomore. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if he does come next year or not. I want to say it's like 2 years from now. Could be wrong. I'm usually wrong, so don't quote me.
Michael Corleone was in the Marines, not the Army. If you watched our actor video. All right, top six. We'll do
I
our
shook mine
normal.
up. Mine's a little hot take-ish.
Mine's kind of hot take-ish. My number one is Michigan. What's your number one?
I got TCU.
Whoa. I mean, I guess we both kind of went against the grain on this one a little
Yeah,
bit.
like I said, their resume is just on paper better. Like I said it earlier, the teams they did beat, continue to lose after they lost to TCU, but TCU's done nothing wrong. They've beat everybody almost pretty handily, other than Baylor and Kansas. Yeah, so the three ranked teams that they played here in this whole stretch before they lost was all pretty close. They just done what they needed to do. These are all good teams. So I got TCU 1. Fuck off.
So 2, I have Georgia.
I got Georgia 2 as well.
So 3, you got. I'm assuming you got Michigan.
Yeah.
I got TCU. So we kind of flipped our 3 and our 1, and then 4. Man, I hate to say this, but it's USC.
Yep.
Then 5, Ohio State.
Yep.
And then 6, Alabama.
Yeah. I also didn't want to just copy the entire top 6. So I wanted to switch it up a little bit. I honestly probably could have put TCU 1 like a few weeks ago, and it would have been the same theory.
I've been actually wanting to stick Michigan at number 1 for a long time, and then this Ohio State game really gave me like the proof I needed that.
Yeah. The only reason I didn't have Michigan above Georgia is Georgia has that one extra better win. I think maybe the Ohio State win is better overall than Georgia's 3 good wins, because Tennessee, they're ass now without Hendon Hooker. Well, not ass, but they wouldn't beat any of these top teams, I don't think.
Yeah.
And then Penn State's, I still think they're a fraud. And then Oregon has 3 losses. So, and then Ohio State's got the 1 loss. So that 1 win's better than all 3 of Georgia's, but they do have 3 good wins to Georgia's or Michigan's 2. That's the only reason.
Though, so the one argument I was going to talk about was this whole argument I've been seeing like crazy on social media is that people think Alabama should get in over Ohio State, which I actually think is the dumbest argument I've seen in a while. Like really, really dumb. Alabama has 2 losses, and let's see,
and they're the worst of the 2 teams.
Yeah, and then their wins, they have like a lot of close wins that they snuck out. Just, Ohio State's dominated pretty much all the way up until this point.
They should have lost to Texas, so they'd have. I'm still counting that as a loss in my head. They barely beat fucking Texas A&M, who is absolutely dog water. Pretty close game to Ole Miss. So,
yeah,
and then
several.
Ohio State's got a lot of close wins too. Well, not a lot, but like I think a few.
Yeah, the Notre Dame was close-ish, and then let's see. Notre Dame wasn't even really that close looking at it.
Maryland is the only really other one. Northwestern, I suppose.
No, they were whooping everybody.
They're not playing anybody. All these teams have no fucking offense. These teams suck. All these teams suck. Their resume is ass.
I mean, yeah, but I mean they're beating teams by like such a wide margin. You can't deny that they
have an NFL receiving core going against high school defenses.
I mean, that's my
point. Outside of Iowa and Northwestern.
I think Ohio State is definitely kind of being disrespected at this point, actually, by a lot of people off of 1 loss.
I still think they're better than Bama, and they would be. Oh, Jesus Christ. They should be in over Bama if it comes to it, but they shouldn't be in over USC if USC wins their conference. I would still even put a 1-loss TCU over Ohio State.
This might sound like some major hater shit right here, but I think Ohio State's better than USC. I mean, I think USC should get in because of the conference championship, because I'm a strong believer that a conference championship winner should get in over just like an at-large really good team.
I think Ohio State has the better team than USC, like player-wise on paper. It'd be a good game to watch. I don't know who would win that. I would go USC.
I think Ohio State would, simply because I think both the offenses are crazy. but I think Ohio State's offense would dominate USC's defense just a little bit better than
Well,
USC's would
USC can
against
run
Ohio
the
State's.
ball, and we've seen Ohio State couldn't stop the run at all.
Yeah, I mean, they aren't allowing as many like 30 plus points from their opposing teams as USC. I
Yeah.
think USC like I don't think that they will win the championship. I think out of all the top four, they are easily the weakest in my opinion. But if they were going to win a championship, it'd probably be this year. Like this is the one top four that's not super strong. There's nobody that's heavily favored in my opinion.
I don't know. I just think all these offenses compared to the offenses that Ohio State's played are they're just better. Like like Pac-12 offenses compared to the majority of the Big Ten offenses are better. Like they score more. The Big Tens they're all defensive teams. Like they beat Oregon State. Oregon State just beat Oregon. Stanford's ass. Washington State's decent. They put up 42 on Utah. And then Cal's not too bad this year. UCLA has a decent defense. They put up 48. Notre Dame has a pretty good defense. They put up 38. So I think they could
Yeah,
score against Ohio State.
I think their defense is really their problem. They played two truly really good teams offenses, UCLA and Utah, and they both those teams dropped 40 on them.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. I think this Utah USC game's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think Utah has a really good shot. At
Man, if
this
Utah
point, I
beats
think
them again,
USC's kind of USC's rolling right now, so I kind of think USC is going to win, but I would not be surprised if Utah won.
didn't Utah win the Pac-12 last year?
Yeah, they played Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Really good
Back
game.
back to back. They lost in the Rose Bowl, right?
Yeah, and it was crazy because like all of Ohio State's receivers like got hurt or set out, and then they put in like much like pretty much the guys that are balling out this year. They
And I was
put
like,
all them
oh
in, and they
shit.
like whooped on them. But Cam Rising wasn't playing. It was like his backup.
I like Cam Rising.
I wonder if he sits out the bowl game. That's kind of a big discussion. Like who's going to sit out the bowl games? I hope not a lot of
Uh
people do. Like I get why they are, but I want to see some good bowl games this year.
yeah, maybe.
But I think a lot of people are going to sit
I
out.
think he'd play.
If they go to the Rose Bowl, I think he will. I think he'll play in the Rose Bowl. It's like his last year. It's a
Shit, it might
really
be
good game.
Utah fucking Ohio State again.
Unless the Rose Bowl is part of the playoffs this year, I'm not sure. I'm not sure which ones are this year.
Well, the Orange Bowl's
They
not.
they rotate.
I think it might be the Fiesta and maybe the Cotton Bowl.
That sounds right. Actually, I think
It could be the Rose because it wasn't in last year. There's five of them, right?
it's the Rose Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, the Peach Bowl,
Oh, I forgot about the Beach Bowl
Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl,
and the
or no, Sugar
Fiesta.
Bowl, or is the Sugar Bowl part of it?
I think so.
Yeah, and then the Fiesta. Yeah, so it's six. So they rotate between six of them.
Interesting. All right. Player of the week. We might have the same guy.
Let's see. I this guy didn't put up crazy stats. This guy he proved everybody wrong. That's JJ McCarthy. That's
Yeah.
my player of the week. He didn't put up like the craziest stats in the world, but this man is the reason Michigan won that game.
I did all right. 263, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And then he ran for another touchdown. So he's got 4 touchdowns overall. I was really like contemplating like being a homer and picking Jordan Travis, but I was like, man, he did beat Ohio State at home. Like that's like player of the week material for me.
This is one of the best performances
He
of the
carried that team.
year, in my opinion, because nobody thought he was gonna do what he did.
He was terrible before this. Like, look at this 18 to 34, 48 QBR, no touchdowns. 8 to 17 against Nebraska. Got 2 touchdowns. It's not terrible. 13 to 27, 15 to 25. Just average shit. I mean, he's not the worst. He's not been playing the worst, but he's not been playing great.
I think he's gonna have well, so there's like a little bit of a controversy going on going into next year. So when the season started, McNamara was their starter.
Yeah,
He got hurt for the season. McCarthy came in. I don't know how you like McNamara was good, but like McCarthy, I think has more of
it's
a
one
leadership.
game. Like,
He has a leadership quality though, like that a lot of quarterbacks don't possess. Regardless, like his talent might not all be all there, but like he has the heart.
yeah, I think we'll see in the offseason. Let him just battle it out.
I think he's going
Unless
to
one
make
of
a
them
massive
transfers.
jumps. I think there's a lot of talk about McNamara entering the transfer portal.
Nebraska.
Well, it also depends on how the playoffs shake out. Does Michigan win the national championship? If they do, they're probably sticking with McCarthy.
Yeah, 100%. If he leads them the entire way, why wouldn't you not? That would make no sense.
What a performance, man! This guy,
Dog.
I had so little faith in this
I did.
this
I had
dude.
zero faith in this guy. Zero.
Like this guy is crazy. Like those wide open bombs that he's pretty much been missing the whole season, but he was hitting them this game.
He was cooking.
He used his feet, like he didn't rush for many yards, but when he needed to, he was scrambling. He had a
11
touchdown.
yards average per pass. His completion percentage sucks. He needs to tighten that shit up.
Those long bombs are crazy because like the first one, I was like, okay, they got lucky, but he did like two more times.
75-yard long. That running back too on their team. Fucking
Donovan Edwards. I mean, I knew that dude was good because him and Corum had both been putting up like games where they're both rushing 100 plus yards. Which we'll see if Corum comes back for the Big Ten championship.
I think he did you ever find out what his injury was?
It was like it's like a knee injury. Like he got hit, I guess, like in the helmet with it. Like his it's like a knee contusion, pretty much.
Oh, okay. That's like I don't know, maybe like a week.
Yeah. So Reggie Bush was doing the pregame for that game, and he said he had dealt with a similar injury when he played for the Lions, and he said it was kind of like a 2 to 3 week process. I think Blake Corum, if he was good enough to at least try to play in this game, I think he'll be good to play
I
this
think they just
upcoming week.
I think they just sit him for the Big Ten championship. I don't think they need him. Like let him rest up for the playoffs.
I think they should let him play in the event that USC loses, and he could, if he has a really good game, it's like who are you going to give the Heisman to? There's not a lot of options at that point, especially if like USC loses decisively, which I don't think will happen really. But it like in the case that it does, it's like
I
CJ
think
Stroud or Blake Corum at that point.
I think it's locked up between TJ and Caleb. I don't see unless they give it to Drake May as a freshman with the season he had, but he's lost 3 times. And I like him. I think he's put up a really good year. But I don't know, Max Dugan's maybe the third guy right there.
He's kind of been a little bit underrated this season.
I mean, he's led a TCU team that nobody thought about. Like they were so far under the radar, and they have been all year. And I think they still are just kind of flying under the radar. Like, yeah, they're in the playoff, the top 4, like in the playoffs at this point. I think he's got a decent shot at it if he wins out.
I
don't
could
think
I
they'll
could
give it to
definitely
him
see
though,
it. I really think Caleb has it locked up at this point. It
unless
just
he loses.
I have that feeling that even if he loses close, he could probably still win. Which this really pains me. I know we're going off on a tangent. We're gonna talk about Heisman stuff later, but there's a good chance that Caleb goes down as like one of the best college players of all time because he's coming back next year.
Oh yeah, I think it's more like this year. I was like,
Yeah, he's coming like say he wins the Heisman this year, and then like he does this again next year, and like
he
wins the
could go.
Heisman again. He's probably like the best player of all time at that point. There's only
I
been one
don't
guy
know.
that's won it twice.
I still like. I still think Tebow's probably better.
Tebow's definitely my number one, and then Cam Newton's like a close number two, even though Cam Newton only really had the one season, but it was just a
Yeah,
crazy season.
You got Reggie Bush this season. Manziel season that we looked at.
That was pretty nuts.
That man better start rushing like crazy next year if he
There's
wants to
not
go.
really been a bunch of players like in recent memory that have like reached these heights.
Derrick Henry. I think
Yeah,
he had a pretty good year.
he had that Heisman year in 2015, 2016. I mean, Trevor Lawrence kind of had his his deal. But I think Joe Burrow really he was
Joe
kind of in a
Burrow
he's in a
had
Cam Newton situation though, where it's kind of like a one off
like one of the greatest
deal.
offenses of all time in college. So, if you unless you want to take it as like a whole, like their entire like career or just like one season at a time, I think it's hard to pick like the greatest college player of all time.
I think
I
you just got to look at like the greatest impact period, regardless of how long they played.
I still would pick Tebow, as much as it pains me to say it.
Well, he played all 4 years first off, which is pretty rare. Um, and he was rushing 20 plus, passing 20 plus, and he just had like he had a heart, and he was like a leader.
Yeah,
He checked like every single box you could
I
possibly
fucking hated
want.
that guy. I
He got
hated Tim
invited to the
Tebow.
Heisman thing like 3 times, I think.
Fucking hate it. I hated him. I don't hate him now. I like it. He's good. He's actually a really good person.
I liked Tim Tebow. I also didn't like Tim Tebow back then because he beat OU in the national championship in 2008.
He beat us every year.
He's
We didn't
he's
beat
a
him one time.
monster. He's a
Fuck that guy.
monster.
Fuck college Tim Tebow.
That man. There's a lot of players that I like hated back in the day that I like now. Um, Manti Te'o, like I did not really like him that much while he was playing. Then I watched
I
that
didn't.
documentary and I felt kind of bad for him.
I didn't mind him. I thought it was cool. You know, he was the heart of the team. I was a defensive player, and he led his team to the championship. Like not
He beat OU, so that's kind of like we played him that year.
yeah. And then that documentary was like really eye opening into like him as a person. A lady or person should be in jail.
That's so messed up. Like the whole thing was so messed up. Like who would even think to do something like that?
They should make
Uh
catfishing illegal.
no,
Felony.
absolutely. Catfishing is like really, really messed up. It's like
It's identity theft. Pretty
pretty
much.
much like
Pretty sure identity theft is a felony.
next to like swatting. It's like the second worst thing you could do on the internet, probably.
Yeah, that shit's crazy.
Well, let me backtrack. There's some things that are worse than those two.
Oh, my kid's crying. I'll be back.
All right. All right. But yeah, McCarthy, he really impressed me in this game. I didn't think he had it in him. He was just throwing these long bombs. He looked confident the whole time. The whole Michigan team looked really, really good, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more. Defensively, they looked pretty solid. And then, Donovan Edwards running all over everybody. McCarthy hooking up with his receivers, him being mobile. It was just a great overall performance by Michigan. But yeah, kind of want to go on a little tangent about just like the best players in college football history. Tebow, he's definitely up there. He has to be number one just because he played all 4 years. He won 2 national championships. He won a Sugar Bowl against Cincinnati. I can't remember what he did like the second year he played. Maybe it was the third. I can't remember what happened like in one of the years where they didn't win the national championship. Like I remember the Sugar Bowl was his last year. They lost to Bama in the conference championship. But I don't remember. I want to say it was like 2 years before that. Like it would be his sophomore year, how that season ultimately shaked out. I mentioned Cam Newton. He was wild. I remember that year. He was rushing it. He was throwing it. He even caught a touchdown pass. He was dominating everybody. And there's the whole scandal about was he being paid? Was his dad being paid? There's big controversy behind it. He ultimately won the Heisman. I didn't think he was going to go number one overall to Carolina. He did. And he played really well for, I don't know, 5-6 years. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he's definitely a really solid player with a really good resume. Former Patriot, that's my team. So, I appreciate him for the 1 year he gave us coming off of losing Tom Brady. Who else was like really good? Ricky Williams for Texas, 98. He rushed for like 30 touchdowns, something nuts. He was running all over people. The Saints traded like all of their draft picks just to get him. Sam Bradford is really good. Kind of sounded like a homer here, but He threw for 50 plus touchdowns. He had a pretty low amount of interceptions that year. It might have been like 6. Only loss in the regular season was to Texas, who had Colt McCoy, and they're a really good team that year. I think they might have finished like ranked 3 or ranked 4 in that season. And then he lost to Tebow in the national championship. Won the Heisman that year. His freshman year wasn't too bad either. And then his junior year, of course, he comes back. He could have left as a sophomore, but he came back to play as a junior, which is not as common now as it was then. Players who had the opportunity to go to the NFL probably would have gone first round. Most guys nowadays would probably just go straight to the NFL. There's a little bit more college pride back in the day, which I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, but that's just kind of the way it was. And he came back, he broke his collarbone against BYU, healed up, came and played against Texas, broke his collarbone again, and then set out the whole rest of that season. Still got drafted #1 overall by the Rams, had a really good rookie year. Just kind of went on and off from there. I think he had a really good year with Minnesota. Yeah, he had a really good year with Minnesota. Played for Arizona, I think. He went to the Eagles, kind of did all right. But yeah, who else was like really on that level? Yeah, he mentioned Reggie Bush, great player. He was running all over everybody. Won the Heisman that ultimately got vacated. Didn't quite have the NFL career that everybody was hoping for him, but really good nonetheless. Vince Young, around that same time, was a great player. One of the best games ever played was that 2006 Rose Bowl. I think that's a game everybody will remember who watched it. I remember it. I was, maybe 9 years old watching that game. Really good game. Let's see. There's not a lot of players in like real recent memory besides Joe Burrow that I'd have up there on that level. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody else. I remember like Andrew Luck was really hyped up, but his college career wasn't really all that. His college career was just basically everybody waiting for him to go to the NFL. He was a really good passer. He really had all the arm talent in the world. He was mobile. He was kind of the complete package, but his college career was pretty much just like you never thought he was going to win a national championship. You thought maybe he could win a Heisman, but it was really just all about him preparing for the NFL. He gets there, he played lights out, and then he dealt with a few injuries, retired, and took his money and ran. Speaking of Stanford, they fired David Shaw, or they didn't fire David Shaw. He resigned over the weekend after I believe it was 14 years with the program. Great coach. It's Stanford's not the easiest place to recruit in. You're in the Pac-12. You got Oregon. You got USC. You got UCLA. All his more preferred destinations in the Pac-12. So I can see why he wasn't as successful with Stanford as he could have been. I'm curious to see where he lands. I could kind of see him maybe taking a year off, kind of exploring his options, maybe taking like an analyst gig in the NFL or maybe Alabama or something like that. I think he's a well accomplished coach. I think he really knows the X's and O's really well. I think recruiting might not necessarily be his strong suit, but I would really love to see him go to a program that's a little bit more of a bigger brand than Stanford. I think that could really boost what he can do. There's not really a bunch of jobs on the market right now that I think are open for him to take. But like I said, I think his best interest is probably to take a year off, see what develops. There's sure to be more things opening up next year. A&M might be opening up, although I don't know how good of a fit that'll be for him. Trying to think of what else could possibly open up for him. That's pretty much the only thing like top of my head I think could happen as like a for sure firing. That's probably going to happen next year unless A&M just comes out swinging and makes the playoffs or makes a huge significant jump. We've discussed like Mike Gundy kind of being on the hot seat. I don't necessarily think that's the case unless they think they could get a guy in that can do better than Mike Gundy because Mike Gundy's done an outstanding job with that program, but he's not really the guy that's going to get you championships. But you could also make the argument that maybe he is that guy, but Stillwater's not the place to acquire the talent to get to that level. But I think if David Shaw was interested in that position, they could possibly do it. I just don't know how well that would go over with the fan base. Because that fan base is extremely loyal to Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy's the face of Oklahoma State at the moment. His kids went through the high school. He has a son on the team. He's brought that team to levels you never would have thought they would have reached pre like him being there. Been to 2 Fiesta Bowls. I think they won both of them. They quite possibly could have gone to the national championship in 2011. Some say they got robbed. I don't necessarily think that, but I think there was a good chance that they could have. There's an argument to be made that they should have gone that year. Last year, they were 1 win away from possibly making the playoff. They didn't pull it out. And then this year, they've really taken a step back. So I'm just kind of curious to see where Oklahoma State goes from here. I don't think Mike Gundy's actually on the hot seat, but I think the administrators and boosters are probably getting a little frustrated with the situation because they know they can't really fire him without a massive backlash from the fans. I think the best thing that could happen for Oklahoma State is Mike Gundy getting another offer and him accepting it. But I don't think he'll do it. He built the program up. He's kind of the face of Oklahoma State. I don't see a program that could really woo him over unless it was like in Alabama or I don't even know. I really don't know because he's Oklahoma State alum. So where would he really want to go besides the place? That's all he knows is Oklahoma State football. I don't know. Kind of just going off on a little bit of a tangent here while Jaden's up. Oh, looks like he's back. Man, I went on like so many tangents.
Fingers crossed she goes back to sleep. If not, I
was
might just have to bring her down here.
I was going on some crazy tangents. I started with this game and then I went to like we were talking about like the best players of all time. I went through like a bunch of players and then I got on like Andrew Luck and then I was like, oh, speaking of Stanford, their coach resigned.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he resigned over the weekend.
Good. I had him on my hot seat.
So I was like, he's like in my opinion, he's a really good like X's and O's kind of coach, but he's not necessarily a good recruiter. So I was kind of talking about jobs that I think like in his best interest, he should probably just sit out the whole entire next year and just kind of wait and see what opens up for him.
Fair enough.
Because like A&M's probably going to be opened up unless A&M just comes out crazy next year. And then I got on this tangent about how like me and you were kind of talking about Gundy being on the hot seat, but I'm like, there's no way he would actually ever leave, and they really can't get rid of him without massive backlash from the fans. So like the best thing that could happen is he just took another job.
Unless they got someone better. They should have fucking went after one of these, I don't know, one of these other guys, Rule or Hugh Freeze maybe. I think Hugh Freeze would be good at OSU.
I think he would. I think OSU. It's like I was just talking about this. Is it Mike Gundy or is it Stillwater, Oklahoma? That's the problem.
Well, I mean, yeah, the location doesn't help like in getting big recruits, but
Like, could Mike Gundy possibly be a better coach somewhere else?
she's not going to sleep. She's just in there moving. Little shit.
They never go to sleep.
She's been like staying up later and later. So Jesus Christ. All right. We'll try to press. Defensive team performance of the week.
I got James Madison holding
What?
Coastal Carolina to 1 touchdown. Coastal Carolina was a good team. They're ranked, I think, at the time,
Yeah,
or they're
they
close to
were.
it. They walked
Shit.
all over them.
Yeah, held their QB to 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Coastal Carolina's offense wasn't like no joke either. That's kind of what was surprising to me.
11 first downs. Ew, this is terrible. How you got 30 minutes of possession time and only 183 yards?
The defense was all over them. Like, this isn't like the flashiest pick, but I saw this and I was like, Coastal Carolina is a pretty good team to be held to 7.
That's crazy.
Yeah, James Madison walked all over them. James Madison, they were
Remember they were ranked at one point?
they're ranked 25. They're like the first one to get ranked. I'm curious to see what they do over the offseason and if they improve, could they possibly be in like Tulane's position next year? I think they're still a few years away, but they're off to a really good start in the FBS.
I think they have potential.
Really good team though.
I like their color scheme. I don't know why. I like purple and gold. It's different.
I like how we're seeing, like, I feel like maybe I'm tripping, but like there's been a lot more FCS teams like coming up to FBS than usual in recent years. It seems like, and it's kind of cool just to see like these new faces come in and then they come out and play really good.
They should just merge the FCS and FBS. It'd be wild.
I think I don't see why they don't. Like, what would it hurt really?
The conferences would be so big.
That's
Or they
true.
just made more conferences. They'd have to realign a lot of shit.
There'd be so many teams though. Yeah, they probably couldn't do it because then they'd have to make like a bigger playoff than they're already about to make.
All right. Because then you'd have undefeated FCS teams in their conferences, and then they're like, what about us? Like, you guys fucking suck. That's what about you.
You guys are a high school team. Like, come on now.
You had 1 out of conference game. You played SMU.
I mean, they do struggle. Some of these smaller teams, they struggle against like medium tier, like Big 12 ACC teams. Like they'll play like Duke, and it'll be like a
like Rutgers.
or a close game. Yeah, Rutgers, or just like Iowa State would probably be like a close game. You never know.
Yeah.
Who you got?
I have Illinois.
Illinois. Yeah, I saw they played over the weekend.
41-3. Yeah, Northwestern, their offense sucks. They won 1 game, but still a solid defensive performance. 6 turnovers for Northwestern. They did give up a good amount of yards, and they had a fuck ton of possession time. So you think they would have been able to score more than 3 points. But the 6 turnovers is where you got no points from. That's just wild. Let's look at the possessions. Like, punt, interception, punt, interception, turnover on downs, fumble, return for touchdown, interception, return for touchdown, punt, field goal, interception. Ew. That's fucking crazy. Yeah, they would be driving too. 59 yards, pick. 42 yards, pick. 55 yards, another interception.
Northwestern, they're a disaster. Who would even want to take that job? I would never want to take that job.
I got their coach on my hot seat.
Is he a first-year coach? That's
Pat
a good
Fitzgerald,
question.
is his name. Yeah, Pat Fitzgerald.
Don't know
I don't think
about him.
I don't know. It matters. One win. That's bad.
That's really bad. That's actually a job I could see David Shaw actually taking. It kind of fits his like style, like a low key, like big conference team.
We've talked about Northwestern before. I would not take that job. It's like a big academic school. It's hard to get players because you have to have the high GPA to play there. I'm sure you have to have a high GPA just to even get into the school.
Yeah, I saw a big discussion about like Notre Dame, like in that same regard, over the weekend about how they got beat by USC, and a lot of Notre Dame fans are making an excuse of like that excuse you just brought up, which I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe the administration should bend some rules and let
Maybe
better athletes
alter the athlete academics a little bit. I mean, it would probably help.
and make a lot of these schools a lot better than they are. I mean, if you're a Power Five team, you should be able to have the opportunity to compete for a national championship.
For
Most like teams at least get like one shot if they're a Power Five of getting pretty close. You see them kind of rotate being really good. And Northwestern's really not one of those teams.
They went to the Big Ten championship. Was it last year or the COVID season?
It might have been the COVID year.
Yeah, they went to the Big Ten championship.
They're in the terrible part of the Big Ten. They need to realign that because the Big Ten championship is always terrible. It's always like Ohio State or Michigan against some trash
bum team. Yeah, I think that a couple of the conferences could use some like team realignments.
I think they should even just do
out
what the Pac-12 is doing. Just best and first and second play each other in the championship.
I'd be okay with that because I mean, if that was the case, then we'd be playing Clemson for the ACC championship.
That's what I'm saying. Like all of these conference championships would be 10 times better if that's what it.
The SEC championship would be Georgia and Alabama, not Georgia and LSU, who's at 14th.
Rematch against Michigan and Ohio State, which it'd be pretty cool, I guess. It for sure make sure both of them don't get in.
Yeah, TCU would still be playing K-State. Utah still would play UC. I feel like I'm missing a conference.
Let's see, well, you had already mentioned Clemson and Florida State. Yeah, there's the ACC, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12. Yeah,
I just felt like I was missing one.
Yeah, you had mentioned that kind of before we started looking at it. So after our defensive performance, we got most disappointing performance by a player. We could have the same guy. I have DJ Uigunduale.
Yeah, dude is washed.
Man, 8 for 26. 99
29
yards. Or 8 for 29. Yeah.
How do you throw the ball 29 times and only connect 8? That's
99
terrible.
Yards. What did he do rushing? I didn't actually look at his rushing stats. I mean, he had a touchdown, I guess. 51 yards. It's not bad. It's not a bad rushing performance.
But I mean, they're not throwing.
Terrible.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, I don't know if it's him or the offense though. Because even when they put the other guy in, like he wasn't that good.
I'm pretty sure it's him.
Who's calling the offense? Is Dabo over
God
the offense?
Damn, that scared the shit out of me. Holy fuck.
What tools do you need?
I don't need any.
I want to say it's Dabo that calls that offense. I want to say Dabo is the defense or offensive coach.
I think he is too.
I don't know. They've had good quarterbacks in the past. I think DJ is really talented. I think he's kind of mentally defeated. I think he's like in a Rattler position, ironically enough.
I was just about to say that.
I think he just needs to change the scenery.
Transfer.
He could be good.
Everybody else is doing it. You might as well hop in.
Rattler, man.
That's just so bad. So bad. What was the QBR? I didn't even see it. 27.5.
Ooh, yikes.
No, I looked up Spencer Petras. He didn't even play.
Yeah, his backup though, he entered the transfer portal.
Who did?
Petras is a backup. So he's like, you know what? How dare you go a whole season starting this guy over me?
I know, right? Like, at least try.
I would be so mad if I was that guy. Like, you were not even going to give me a shot.
Unless the backup's just not good either.
Well, it's kind of like an OU situation where we have Dylan Gabriel, and there's a lot of times where I'm like, bench him. Then I'm like, no, we cannot bench him. Like, there was a play.
Beat bad.
There's a play against Texas Tech where we did a fake reversed to Drake Stoops, and then Drake Stoops threw it to Dylan Gabriel, and Dylan got popped and had to come out for a play. And instead of snapping the ball to the backup, they snapped it to our tight end. Like, that's how bad our backup is.
It's time for General Booty.
I don't know why they don't give him a shot. Like, give him like one chance.
Is he on a red shirt?
He shouldn't be. He was a JUCO transfer.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he'll ever actually start Pro U, quite honestly.
No, probably not. Just be holding up field goals.
Pretty much. He'll probably transfer again. He'll probably transfer to SMU or something.
Go to Northwestern.
Go to BYU.
BYU's not too bad at putting out QBs, like average ones.
I mean, they had Zach Wilson.
Look how he turned out. They got benched for Mike White.
Did you see that press conference where like the offensive played terrible, but the defense played pretty good? And he's like, the reporter's like, "Do you feel like you let your defense down?" And he was like, "No, absolutely not." I was like, "What? You scored 3 points. What are you talking about?"
Was that the one against the Pats?
I think so.
That game was terrible. That shit was hard to watch.
I think it was. He's like, "Do you feel like you let the defense down?" He said, "No, absolutely not." I'm like, bro, you were so cocky for no reason. Like, you were terrible.
He's out there just banging Cougars, man.
I knew he was gonna be a bust, like from the jump. I never had any faith in him. I mean, first off, you're getting drafted by the Jets, which I know the Jets are like pretty good. It's not gonna last. It never does.
He's athletic enough. I don't know what his issue is. His decision making is a little bad.
There's just something he's lacking. I think it's like a mentality thing, really. I think that's what a lot of the time it actually boils down to. Let's see. Heisman top 5. So the obvious choice, Caleb Williams. We've kind of discussed this a little bit.
He didn't do nothing too crazy against Notre Dame, but I mean, he didn't really hurt his chances either. He put up 3 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown. That's what he's got over CJ is the rushing touchdowns.
He's got really good mobility.
And I mean, he's top 10 in all categories.
He struck the Heisman pose during the game. I'm like, usually no player does that. It's pretty much a lock. I feel like.
Hell yeah, I fucks with it.
He struck. Well, I mean, it's not a lock because Chase Brown's like did it like in the middle of the season. Illinois running back, like he struck the pose.
Like it was good. He had a really good year.
I think if like Illinois was like
undefeated
or like 1 loss, he would easily be in the discussion.
What do his stats look like?
Chase Brown. 1,600 yards ain't nothing to scoff at.
He's got 200 more yards, 18 touchdowns, 8 less touchdowns. What about receiving touchdowns? Not all, just the 1 in the last couple of games.
I mean, 1,600 yards is really good.
He's got 240 receiving yards.
3 touchdowns. That's really not bad. So I mean, he's got 1,800 all-purpose yards.
His 18 and 80, yeah. So he's on a couple touchdowns back, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, really good
I closed out the wrong one.
Closed out CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
I'm about to roast the titties off this man. I'm just kidding. He wasn't the reason they lost. Their defense had a lot more to do with it. Although he
didn't have a great.
He did seal the deal. He definitely sealed the deal for him.
So yeah, he's obviously number 2. So we'll put him side by side. So 33-40, 37-12. So he's up in total yards passing, 34 passing touchdowns to his 37. And then he's got, how many rushing touchdowns does he have? 10. So he's got 44 total touchdowns. Pretty solid.
CJ Stroud doesn't have a single rushing touchdown.
3 less interceptions. And he's like 1 point QBR behind. So I mean, on paper, he's better. And they got the same record. So the undefeated thing isn't really an excuse anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I really think as long as Caleb doesn't get destroyed against Utah, he should win. Like I think he's just that he has like, so let's say they USC does lose. He still was in a conference championship game, which is something CJ Stroud can't say.
But he's gonna have one extra game, so
Yeah, more stats because I mean this is CJ Stroud's season, like until bowl season. This is what he looks like.
yeah, going into the Heisman.
And all these numbers that Caleb is behind on, he could potentially pass him this weekend.
I mean, he's only behind on QBR.
Was he ahead of him on? Well, he's ahead of him on he's behind him on passing
Oh yeah,
touchdowns, which he
so
could. He's probably gonna pass
he's
him.
easily able to probably get 3 passing. It's doable. He'll probably at least get at least 1 rushing touchdown, at least.
So as long as they don't get blown out and he throws like 3 interceptions or something like that, we're probably looking at Caleb Williams pretty much looking better than CJ Stroud in every statistical category. He's a better rusher. He's better improviser. I can't necessarily say he has the better wins. I think they're kind of equal on wins in my opinion, but Caleb has an extra game and he's just
And
all
a
around a
potential
better
conference
player.
championship.
Yeah, he's just all around. He's more mobile, which really separates the two.
Yeah. That's a lot of extra rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. So 3, it looks like you got.
Yeah, Max Duggan or Dugan. How the fuck you say his name? He's actually pretty competitive as well, like outside of the QBR. I mean, he's 300 and 700 yards passing behind. He's got some rushing touchdowns as well. He's got 5, so
He's
34 total.
34 total. So
There's 3 total behind CJ Stroud and like 10 behind Caleb. I mean, I don't think he wins it unless maybe Caleb loses and this guy throws for fucking 500.
well, so he does have the potential to pass Stroud
CJ Stroud, yeah.
this weekend. So if Caleb does lose in a horrendous fashion and he passes Stroud, I don't know why you wouldn't give it to him unless Blake Corum also has a massive game against Purdue.
I think he's gonna have to throw for like 500 and like 5 or 6 touchdowns to, and then need Blake or not Blake Corum, Caleb Williams to lose. That's the only way I see him winning. I think he gets invited. I'm pretty sure.
Well, so I actually did the research on it because we were talking about how many people get invited. So 4 people get invited. That's the max for it. So Caleb, CJ, and Blake to me are like the 3
Yeah.
locks. And then he's probably the 4th guy, or Drake May. It's
Yeah,
probably between him or Drake May.
I got Jake May 5. That shit's just insane. Dude, he's almost got 4,000 yards.
Dude is nuts. 3, I had Blake Corum, obviously. So
Yeah, Blake Corum 3.
yeah, so
Yeah, it's just a really
He's
good.
been my top 3 the whole season, pretty much. Well, no, CJ and Blake have been my top 3. Hennon was my top 3 for most of the season until he got hurt.
I mean, if Blake Corum don't play the next game, then he might not even get invited. Because Drake May's playing in a conference championship, so if he has another good game, it could be just Caleb, CJ, Max,
and Drake. I don't know. I think he's going to play. Saying he's probable, that pretty much means he's 75% good to go. He at least had the strength to try to play last week. So I don't think Blake Corum's gonna win. Honestly, I think Caleb's like I can't say he's a lock, but to me, I'm like 85% sure he's gonna win.
Yeah, 85, 90 in that area.
Like I feel like all these other guys, it's just kind of like who do you want to reward for a good season by letting them attend the ceremony is kind of.
I don't even know if I would want to go to the ceremony if I'm not gonna win. I don't know.
I feel like
or if I don't have a chance to win, like if it's gonna be close and I have like maybe a good chance.
Yeah, it would kind of suck, but it kind of be cool. Like just to get invited, I think they get to experience the whole thing. They get to meet all the previous Heisman winners.
Yeah,
you get all their accomplishments highlighted.
The 4th best player in college football.
I think if like Caleb does win next weekend and it's pretty much a lock, Caleb wins. I'd really like to see like Hendon Hooker just get the invite just because like he had a really good season. And it's like, what I mean, like, does it really matter if you like left Drake May out or left somebody else out who's clearly not going to win? Like, who actually cares at that point?
No, not really.
And like Drake May's gonna have another opportunity.
I mean, if he plays like this again, and North Carolina can shore up their team, especially their defense, they get a shot to at least, make a New Year's Six. I don't know why I can't say New Year's. I say New Year's every time.
I thought you've been saying like New York. I'm like I know what you mean though. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't really care. But
every time I gotta say it. So
what if they played
yeah,
all the games in New York?
every college football game's in New York. It's the only
New York
state.
6, like I gotta go to New York to watch my team. This is bullshit. Like,
I'm about to just start calling it the New York Six. Yeah, if they can shore up their team, he has a good chance to make one of those games next year. Probably compete for the national championship. I mean, they're gonna have to beat us out for the spot. So we'll see.
I have a hot take. I think Drake May is gonna have a major sophomore slump next year. Because I think he's a redshirt freshman, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong
Pretty
about
sure it'd
that.
say redshirt, wouldn't it?
Maybe it does. So maybe he's a true freshman. So that he might have a better season than I'm thinking. But I was thinking he would have all the NFL pressure on him if he was a redshirt freshman, because next year he'd be eligible.
Yeah. I'm
But I
pretty
still
sure
think he's going to have a little bit of a slump just because he's going to have a lot more expectations. He's going to be
Yeah.
kind of like maybe Heisman favorite going into next year. Well, Caleb is obviously going to be like number one, but he's probably going to be like number two in the Heisman favorite conversation. He'll have a lot more expectations. I could see him having a slump, but we'll see. I don't know who they're losing on offense. I don't know what receivers he's losing, what their offense coordinator is doing. Is he getting a new job? The coaching carousel's just started. Their offense coordinator did a great job this season. Maybe he leaves.
Maybe a QB coach.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. He's obviously going to be like a top 5 favorite going into next season.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you should get the invite. That's who I had at number 4.
That's just an incredible stat line for a freshman. Wild.
35-5. That's just
Fuck is this? Maybe he's not a true freshman.
Yeah, so he is a red shirt then.
Yeah.
So
okay.
yeah, I'm sticking with my statement. And he's gonna have a major sophomore slump. He's gonna have that NFL pressure and the Heisman pressure on him all at once, and probably national championship pressure on him as well. Because I mean, going into next season, we're looking at what Clemson, North Carolina, Florida State, and ACC, kind of the top guys.
Yeah, I'm trying to think anybody else is gonna be good next year.
So, Wake Forest. I did not know this, but Sam Hartman is transfer eligible, and he's probably going to enter in the transfer portal. And I just learned this weekend, and guess who the favorite is to get Sam Hartman? Florida.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's fine. It is what it is. I think we still beat them.
It'd be interesting. So, like Anthony Richardson, I've been looking it up. He's still projected like top 15.
I don't think he should
I don't know
go.
how.
I hope he goes because I don't want to fucking play him again. That guy's annoying. He's so good.
He's good as a runner.
Yeah.
I don't see how he works out in the NFL unless he sits for a year or two.
He's gonna just have to play like Cam Newton did his first year or two. But he's gonna have to go to a good team with like good pieces. But if he's going in the top 15, then
it's not looking good. I mean, he's gonna go because he's gonna get the money. You're guaranteed if you're first round pick, you're getting millions.
Who would take him?
I want to say who was looking like the favorite to take. It was possibly Detroit was up there.
I think they just ride Jared Goff. They've had the only reason they keep losing games because their defense. It's not the QB.
I think it'd be actually a smart choice for them to draft Anthony Richardson because they have Goff, who I think could start.
You could probably play both of them.
You could play behind him. You could put Anthony Richardson in on the goal line, have him run it in.
Do some read option just out of nowhere.
Let him kind of sit behind Goff. I think he's not like a great quarterback, but he's like slightly above average.
He's got a decent arm and he plays well.
He's been in a Super Bowl. A lot of quarterbacks can't say that.
Very true. Was it only what Super Bowl were we on this year?
50. Is it 55 this year? Is it 56?
It might be
54?
56.
Like I don't I don't know.
Well, we'll just call it 55. So that's what 120, 110
Yeah,
QBs
110
ideally.
quarterbacks that have ever made it to a
But
Super
then
Bowl.
you got to take that back because then there's people that have made it more than once.
Yeah, so
So
it's less than even that because I mean Brady's taken up like 11 of those, just
yeah,
him alone, and then
you got John Elway.
John Elway's been to six. Mahomes has been to what, two now,
Yeah, he's
three.
won one, lost one. Uh, Roethlisberger,
Roethlisberger went to
fucking
three. Aaron Rodgers went to one. Russell Wilson went to two. Most of
Peyton
these are like
Manning,
repeat.
Eli.
Troy Aikman went to three.
Yeah, so it's just dropping. I think it's probably closer to 80
Not a lot of
quarterbacks
guys
that
have
ever made the
made
Super
it
Bowl.
now. I don't know. It's just crazy that Anthony Richardson didn't really do that good. And just based off pure talent alone, they're just like raw talent. We're taking it. I don't know if it's a good idea for anybody, including him. I think maybe he should come back and develop a little bit more. But
I agree.
when you have
Because
millions of
he hasn't
dollars
had
in
a
your
good
face,
year. Like if he plays like this next year, what's to stop him from going in the top 15 again? Like just come back and have a better year.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, I could see like the injury fear and then like the millions of dollars you're about to get. Like I'd probably go if I was him. Like
Or if he
millions of
thinks
dollars, like
or if he thinks Ford is just not going to be good next year, and then he's like, all right, fuck, I'm out. And then you run
no,
the risk of transferring and being on a worse team.
oh, they're about to replace me with Sam Hartman. I'm out of here.
That's crazy.
I don't know if Sam Hartman will actually go to Florida. There'll be a whole recruitment process.
Yeah, I don't know how he's gonna play like outside the slow mesh.
I would like to see him at Oklahoma because I'd like pretty much anybody to come to Oklahoma.
I think he'd fit in well with you guys. He's got an arm.
the
He makes
only
pretty good decisions most of the time.
the only problem is Jeff Levy's like fast paced offense, which I think is terrible. I think we should slow down a little bit, like chill out. Not we don't need to run a play every 10 seconds. It's not necessary.
Yeah, because then your defense is back on the field immediately.
I think he's the like this is like a crazy accusation, but I think he's the reason our defense sucked this year because we're making them on the field like so much. Then all these other smart offense coordinators are like, yeah, we're just gonna dominate time of possession and the defense is
Beat
gonna wear out and OU's
eventually.
dumbass offensive coordinator is gonna give us the ball right back in 2 seconds because he wants to run three
Yeah,
plays in 30 seconds.
sounds good to me.
The pacing of the offense is the only thing that's like really wrong with OU. Um, I had like five as like a consolation. I had a Hendon Hooker, but really
Solid
like
year.
kind of where the top four is. I would have Caleb, CJ, Blake, and I'd probably have Drake at the moment. But if Max does really good this weekend, I'd probably give it to him.
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much got the same top six ish.
It's Caleb's award to lose.
Yeah, I agree. Unless they just really like CJ Stroud, which it doesn't make sense to me.
It just kills me. The man was on OU, possibly the greatest college player of all time when it's all said and done.
I'd be upset.
He almost won, like he could have won the Heisman last year after like 8 games. Like there was talk about inviting him. He didn't even play the whole season.
I would be fucking upset if that was my team and we let someone like that leave.
It would be a lot better if we were like, I don't know, like 8-4, 9-3,
A little
like
competitive.
like pretty good, but we're 6-6.
Hey, at least you guys made a bowl game. That's some. At least it's something. You get another game where you can maybe put some backups in and just let them see who's gonna, maybe go fight for some starting spots next year.
Also, if we win, 7-6 looks way better than 6-6.
Yeah, and I mean,
Or
in
actually, we would be
reality,
6-7 if we lost.
it doesn't even matter if you guys lose outside of that.
It's about pride at this
Yeah, I
point.
guess. I just think there's some value in like getting some players reps because depending on who you guys play, like being on like with that type of record, you guys are playing probably pretty shitty teams more than likely, and you're probably gonna jump out pretty early.
Yeah, we're probably not going to be playing anybody too notable. We're gonna be playing one of the like bottom feeders of another conference because that's essentially what we are in the Big 12 at the moment.
Yeah, playing
So
fucking Illinois and they stomp y'all's ass.
I could see it.
That would suck. That's a team I wouldn't want to get matched up. That defense is really good.
I'm trying to think of like a really good matchup for us.
I want to look at the conferences and see who you guys could potentially get. Just looking at 6-6 teams. Or like in that neighborhood. So probably nobody in the ACC. I guess
Only
it depends
Wake Forest maybe.
I guess it depends what bowl game you guys get, because and then that's gonna dictate what conference you guys play. But
Just
going off
looking at
just
the ACC, like
purely a
Wake
record,
Forest is the only one that looks close. I don't think two conferences play each other in the in the
yeah,
bowl
probably.
games. Maybe, but I don't think so. Um, Pac-12. We're looking at Washington State possibly, which I think they would put numbers on our defense for sure. It's like really good offense. I think we could probably beat Washington State, but
I think so.
it'd be a shootout probably. SEC.
Florida,
Florida would be a
Missouri.
good matchup. Missouri would be a good matchup. Arkansas, I think Arkansas might be one of the most likely ones.
You guys
For
wouldn't play a
Florida,
you guys wouldn't play an FCS team, would you? They don't. They make the bowl games.
no, we could play like a group of five. So we could play like we could play like a
SMU or Houston,
SMU or Houston
East
or
Carolina, Memphis.
speaking of that conference, Cincinnati lost their coach. That's nuts. He went to Wisconsin.
I would have went to Wisconsin too.
That's a big hurt for the Big 12 with them getting Cincinnati, and he's pretty much the draw of Cincinnati. Now the Big 12 is kind of just getting damaged goods.
Was it Luke Fickle, right?
Yeah, Luke Fickle. He was really on Notre Dame's radar last year before they ultimately offered the job to Marcus Freeman.
UAB, Middle Tennessee. Y'all don't want Middle Tennessee. They're actually like low key pretty good.
I could actually see them giving us like UTSA or something because like I don't see UTSA actually going to like a New Year's Six, and it's like, oh, we could put a blue blood against like one of these really good like lower teams and see what happens.
Yeah, I seen this meme about Middle Tennessee. They beat all the teams like in Miami. They beat the Hurricanes and they beat two other I think Florida Atlantic or Florida International or some shit like that. And then another team. It was like Middle Tennessee's the new Miami or some dumb shit. I was like, damn, really?
They they had a pretty good year. North Texas would be interesting. Last time we played North Texas, we beat them like 79-14. So I mean they could get their revenge now.
Pretty cool guys got Liberty. That's
Liberty
a
would be
possibility.
cool.
BYU maybe.
BYU's possibility. UConn, I think is actually a strong possibility.
Maybe even Notre Dame.
They
I
you know
doubt.
they're probably not going to be in a New Year's Six at this point. I really don't see it.
No.
It'd be a good like blue blood like matchup, but they could probably find a better one. Like Florida State, Notre Dame would be better.
I'll beat the doors off them boys. You know, Bowling Green, Toledo.
I feel like they're gonna try to like I feel like Florida or Arkansas is the most
Fuck around,
strongest
get beat by
possibility.
Boise State again.
Gotta get our revenge.
What that shit would be wild. They hit the Statue of Liberty on you guys again. That would be
Nah, there's no
crazy.
way. Brent Venables was the defense coordinator for that game. He knows what's coming.
They hit it the other way this time, but
That
like
was
in the
a
second
crazy
quarter.
play. The craziest game of all time, possibly.
That shit was wild.
Yeah, realistically, I bet I feel like Florida is probably our biggest. I feel like they're gonna put us against one of our future SEC opponents.
A couple good teams in here.
I mean, I'd be cool with like James Madison or Coastal Carolina. Really good, interesting teams.
Troy's not too bad.
Yeah, Troy's not bad. South Alabama actually looks pretty good.
James Madison's probably would be the better matchup because they put up more points. would be exciting.
We find
I'm
out
gonna
on
actually
Monday. Let's
let's
see
see.
what the predictions are.
I don't care about bowl eligible. This
And
is
all they gave us was who's bowl eligible
I fucking did that myself.
for all 41 games. This probably has it.
Okay.
Peach Bowl. That's
Who's I
not it.
got? Peach and Fiesta. I know.
That's
Yeah,
not it.
we're like one loss away from fucking making the Orange Bowl. Like just barely missed it.
Clemson versus Tennessee. That would be
I think Tennessee with their backup could still beat them.
their backup's not bad. I mean, granted, they played Vanderbilt last week, so I don't know how good he actually is, but he could be really good. Sugar Bowl, Alabama, K State. That'd be a pretty
Yeah,
good game.
okay.
I think a lot of Alabama players will probably just sit that one out, though. Unfortunately,
Yeah, in case
they're,
if
they're
they
so
do,
they're so cocky. Like anytime they
right?
don't make the playoffs, they're all like, "No, I'm not playing."
Bryce Young's not playing. No way.
Tulane versus Penn State. I bet Tulane wins that. Like that might be a
Yeah,
hot take,
maybe.
but I think they win.
This would be actually. Did we talk about this? Yeah, they're making the Rose Bowl.
Ohio State versus Washington. Yeah, because if USC
Where the
the
fuck do they have
Pac-12
Utah at?
championship.
Not making a
So what they're saying is USC
no New York
wins.
6 Bowl for Utah.
All the other bowls. Let's see where our teams lie. Bahamas Bowl. Miami versus UAB has been confirmed, actually. Miami of Ohio.
Okay.
Cure Bowl, Buffalo versus Rice, Wake Forest versus Houston.
This might not be too shabby. Houston's
Sam Hartman
okay.
play is the question. I think if he does, Wake
Fuck no, he
Forest will
doesn't
give us
play.
out. Utah State versus I don't care about that.
There's a blowout.
Yeah, UNLV just fired their coach.
Yeah, this could be interesting. I think Coastal Carolina could win that game.
Depends on where their confidence level is after that beatdown they just suffered.
Florida and SMU. Ew.
SMU probably wins that game.
That
That offense is pretty explosive.
unless Anthony Richardson plays.
Liberty versus Toledo. Okay.
Pitt, Missouri.
Oklahoma versus Maryland.
Maryland.
It'd be a good matchup. Maryland has a really good shot of winning that one.
They got a solid offense.
That might be a shootout if depending on how good Dylan Gabriel plays or if he plays, because they're talking about him transferring now.
A 10-15 at night game? What the fuck? Where?
It'd be 9:15 here, but still. Phoenix, Arizona looks like.
If it starts at 10 p.m. in Phoenix, it'd be 11 here. They're an hour behind us, right? Or are they 2 hours behind us?
No, they are behind. They are but I don't know if the times they're putting there are for like ESPN headquarters times, you know what I mean?
Well, the headquarters are what, New York?
They're an hour
or are they in LA?
They're an hour ahead. They're in Connecticut.
Okay.
Bristol,
So yeah, I guess
Connecticut.
it'd be 9 here then. That's okay, I suppose.
There's a lot of talk about us going to the Military Bowl versus Louisville as well.
This would be solid.
That'd actually be a really good matchup. I think that's actually a really tough one to call. I think Mississippi State probably wins, but Kansas has a really good shot.
If he plays, I think Kansas could win, which would be crazy because they haven't made a fucking bowl game and God knows when.
Be a really good game. The Holiday Bowl, Oregon would blow out. That would be a terrible matchup.
Play. This would be a really good game.
Yeah, I think
if Oklahoma State shows up,
I think Arkansas would run all over them. Quite honestly, I think actually it'd be close, but I think Arkansas has shown signs of them actually being like a really, really good team, and then other games they don't look good. So it depends on which Arkansas shows up.
Syracuse could win that game. I think we might be right here. No.
NC State versus Baylor. Okay.
I wanted to play Baylor. Damn. Baylor wins that game. For sure. Texas against Utah. Oh, we're here playing Minnesota. Ew.
Oh hell no! That no, y'all should get a better game than that.
What the fuck?
Like playing Minnesota would be so like such a boring way to end the season.
We'd have our starters in by second drive.
Texas versus Utah would be a
Yeah,
really really good game though.
I think that's the best one so far. This might not be too bad.
That'd be a really good game actually.
Notre
Notre Dame
Dame,
versus Kentucky would be
Kentucky.
pretty
Will
good.
Levis wouldn't play because he's
Yeah, so
going.
it kind of suck actually with him not playing.
Uh,
Iowa versus South Carolina. South Carolina would blow Iowa out in my opinion. The way they're playing right now, at least.
yeah, they can't score. This would be good.
I think
Illinois
Illinois
doesn't.
wins that one.
I think they could. Yeah, very well could. Is that
So
it?
it's Purdue LSU. I don't know. Purdue probably wins.
Not too shabby, I suppose. Nothing crazy. There's like only like 4 outside of the New York 6 games.
Well, I
There's
mean,
only like
scroll down to the New Year's Six games again, just out of curiosity, like the non playoff ones. Clemson
Clemson,
versus Tennessee.
Tennessee.
So we're looking at Hendon Hooker's already out, so we know like their big players out.
They might fucking bench DJ for that just to get the
Al-
backup some playing time.
yeah.
It's a
Alabama K
possibility.
State does Bryce Young play? Probably not.
No,
So that's probably not a good game. Tulane Penn State. I think all their starters play in that game.
that might be. Well, CJ's not playing in this one.
So yeah, it's gonna be a boring game.
Michael Penix, I don't know if he's
He's
senior.
kind of looking at getting drafted like late first round, so he's probably not playing either.
Yeah, so that's a backup QB battle. I think this might be the best one.
I kind of miss the days where the starters would just like I get why they're doing it, so I'm not like mad at them for doing it, but it was just so much more fun when the starters would just play in the bowl games. There was a time where the starters would just play, like they didn't care. Like I'm playing in this bowl game.
Once
I
they
understand.
expand
I understand their reasoning though.
when they expand the playoffs, there ain't gonna be none of that.
Do you think they should keep the bowl games when they make the 12 team playoff? Like as far as like maybe making some of these lower games also playoff games, like in the earlier rounds. I think it'd be kind of cool.
They're gonna have to. I'm curious, like what bowl games they add into the playoffs? Because so you got what that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, okay, that's all 12. Never mind. So all 5 of them are covered. And then the new New York 6 games would be some of these.
It'd probably be like the Holiday Bowl, the
Let's go
Alamo
with the Jimmy
Bowl.
Kimmel LA Bowl.
How did he get his own bowl game?
That's
That's kind
actually
of nuts to me.
any other crazy ones?
Frisco Bowl.
Famous Idaho potato. What the fuck?
That's on the blue field.
That's dope, actually.
New Orleans Bowl.
I feel like that could be one of the new ones playing in New Orleans.
Big city.
Maybe put it at the Saint Stadium if that's not where it's at already.
I believe it is. Got
They could do maybe the Hawaii Bowl. It'd be cool playing
That's a
in
good
Hawaii.
destination. Yeah, that's a really cool
Oh, yeah.
destination.
Maybe this one at the fucking Cardinal Stadium.
Yeah, maybe change the name of it. Guaranteed Rate Bowl sounds kind of whack, but change the name
Yeah.
of it and it'd be pretty cool.
Holiday Bowl, maybe.
Yeah, that one's always been a pretty big one.
And then maybe the Cheez It Bowl would probably get in there.
Yeah, Orlando's a good area. The Alamo Bowl's always been like a pretty good one.
Maybe the Gator Bowl.
Gator Bowl looks pretty good.
Citrus Bowl would be too close to the Orange Bowl. The Orange Bowl. I don't know if they can go with that.
I feel like the Citrus Bowl used to be like a really big bowl game, but I might be tripping.
It sounds like I don't know. It sounds too close to the Orange Bowl. Maybe that's why we're thinking that.
There's a conflict of interest right there.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's we'll see. Because it would be. It depends how many of the games outside the playoffs, if they even make a new New York 6 games. I'm sticking with it.
New York City.
I'm sticking with it. I don't know. I don't think they make a new set. I think they just keep the 6. That's the whole playoffs.
And then the rest are just the rest.
Like, yeah, there's gonna be the top teams that are left out playing in the rest of the bowl games, which would be cool. Because like looking at it right now, it'd be Washington and up making the playoff, and then you got some other good teams down here that would be playing against each other in the bowl games.
I wish they'd take some of the conference aspect out of like deciding how the bowl
Requirements.
games. Yeah, like I feel like they should just pick just like two teams they think would be a really cool matchup and just throw them against each other instead of being
Just
like, oh, we got to pick a ACC team and a Big Ten team. I think
yeah,
it's just
number
kind of
13
stupid.
plays number 14, number 15 plays number 16, so on and so forth.
Like, give us some entertainment. Like, make these bowl games fun again. They haven't been fun in a while.
Yeah, nobody watches them. Like the shitty, like, and there's not very many good ones. Like we look at that list, there's like maybe four, and out of those four, the starters might not even be playing. So,
Like at this point, if you're watching it just to see like what your team looks like next year,
or just to keep watching football because it's almost over.
yeah, I'm definitely gonna be watching like a lot of these games. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but like they used
and
to
then a
be a
lot of
lot
them
more
are like
fun.
throughout the week and shit. It's like people are at work
Yeah, that's true.
and stuff like that. Or they'd be like middle of the day, like a weird time.
Well,
I don't
season's
know.
upon us, man. It's crazy. The season's over.
Dude, it went by so fast.
Like I feel like we just started like doing these episodes, like, and now like the first season of it is already over, pretty much.
It feels like we've only been doing it like a month.
That's what I'm
Realistically,
saying. Season
kind of
just flew by. This was actually a really good college football
good.
season.
I agree.
There was a lot of like, look at the top four right now. Nobody would have expected that to be the top four.
Yeah, nobody really. I mean, USC had decent odds to make it, but first year coach, nah, chances weren't super high. TCU was like -% chance. Michigan and Georgia, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But Tennessee being up there, like what?
Like K-State being top 10 looks crazy. Washington at 12 looks crazy. Florida State, I mean, were you guys even ranked to start the season? I don't think so.
We didn't make a bowl game last year.
Yeah, look, like you guys are 13.
Oh wait, no, I think we might have made a bowl game. No, I don't think we did. I think we had 5 wins last year.
Well, UCLA was kind of in the same boat, and they're ranked 17 now, so they're looking on the up and up. South Carolina, I think they about met the expectations people had for them, actually.
Yeah, I agree. Texas kind of underperformed, but they are kind of back in the same realm.
They're thought of more highly than they have been in a long time.
Yeah,
People respect them a little bit more. Notre Dame's kind of in the same vein. Like they kind of had higher expectations. They underperformed a little bit. But
first year
from the
coach,
start of the season to where they are now, they definitely improved.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of improvement. All right. What's your game of the week?
Kind of a homer in this one. OU Texas Tech, even though I hated the result of it.
I also went the homer route.
I knew you would.
I did.
I knew you would.
Oh, I didn't even know you guys lost.
Yeah, we lost. It was one of the craziest games we made the field goal, and they said we didn't.
What?
Like I swear to God, like we made the field goal. I swear.
That doesn't even make sense.
It's a non-reviewable play. Like we made the field goal, and then we're like, "Whoa, we made that!" And
the refs,
like, oh, we
they just
can't
said it
review
wasn't
it.
good.
Like we
what
can't
the
review
fuck?
it.
That's crazy.
So went to overtime. We missed the field goal, which we actually made. And then, yeah, they kicked field goal to win the game. So
does it say anything about it here? Ew, 18-point deficit. You guys gave up 18 points.
yeah, no, we came out hot. We were kind of whooping Texas Tech at first. Yeah, we're up 17-0 at 24-6 in the second quarter. Dylan Gabriel, this was his best game of the year. That's what's so sad. He threw 6 touchdowns. Like he was balling.
Yeah, maybe we should have went him for player of the week.
He got a like Big 12 player of the week in a loss, which is kind of nuts. Like looking at this offensive performance, like Eric Gray, 161 yards rushing. Marvin Mims,
crazy good.
2 touchdowns. Eric Gray, if like OU was what we thought OU was going to be, he'd be sitting at the Heisman thing. He's rushed like well over 1,000. I can't remember where he's at now. Probably like 1,200, 1,300.
What grade is he in?
He's a senior, so he's projected to go third round next year in the draft.
He's kind of like he's got like an Alvin Kamara like vibe to him for me.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be. It just depends on where he goes. He's not gonna be like I don't know if he's gonna be
That'd be like a
number
third
one.
down, like screen running back, some wheel routes type shit.
I could see him maybe being in a situation where he's like splitting a lot of the carries, like 50-50 type deal, where they're doing like a two running back thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it was actually a really good game. It
Yeah, it
just
looks
sucks
like it.
that the outcome just was terrible. We
I
played
wish
really
I'd have watched this
good.
one.
So we started off high, and then it's Jeff Levy. Like he like we get in these good positions, like, and then he just like we're gonna keep going, we're gonna keep going. And I'm like, bro, slow it down and run the clock out. Like
Nah.
once you're up by
Hail
like
Mary.
once you're up by three possessions, like it's kind of time to
Run the
like
ball.
just run it out as much as you can. But no, he's like, nope, we're gonna keep throwing it. We're gonna run a play every 10 seconds. And then we dug ourselves in this big hole to where they kind of came back. And then it's like he regained like his senses in the second half and started like calling halfway decent plays again. But at that point, it was kind of too late because our defense was exhausted. It was rough. It was really, really, really rough the way
Yeah,
it ended.
you did say this one was a really high potential for a loss. So
That was the one I was most scared about. I was more scared about this one than the Oklahoma State one because Texas Tech has been a trap team all year. They beat Texas. They got us. They played Oklahoma State really close. They actually played TCU really close for most of that game. They're actually a really good team on the up and up. So we'll see what they do next year.
yeah, I've liked Texas Tech since Michael Crabtree.
He was
I
there.
did
He was at the game.
That's cool. I just their logo is cool. I like their color scheme. Their uniforms are usually pretty dope. I like them.
Their uniforms are badass. Kind of thinking about it, like they have great uniforms.
They're the only Texas team I actually like. I was hoping there'd be like a. Is there any pictures? Fuck no. Unfortunate. But this is a fucking video on this.
I know.
Trash.
Yeah, I swear we made the field goal. Like
I'm gonna look this video up when I'm curious.
Venables was even like we made that field goal. Like I'm like almost positive we made the field goal. Like I actually cannot believe it.
Here's a USA Today article. Uh, the ball hooked in as it flew over the post, and after a brief pause from the officials, they signaled that the kick was no good.
Like maybe we didn't make it, but like
They should
they
change
should
that
make it to where you
rule.
could review it at least. Like we should have
It's
at
a
least got a
scoring.
review.
It's a scoring possession. They you can almost review every other scoring possession. They review fucking what safeties, any sort of touchdown.
Yeah, any touchdown they review, but they can't review that. It just blew my mind. I was like, why can't we review this? Like it's overtime.
They should put like a you can put one of those like little fisheye lenses like in the corners of the bottom pole. Like it's not protruding, it's like in it looking up. And it's kind of got like a 360-degree view. That way you could see if it goes over, if it is closed.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I could kind of see like maybe it was outside and then kind of hooked back in after the fact is the only other thing I could think of. Like once it went past, it kind of hooked behind it, like in the middle.
The USA Today article said it fucking was good, so that's crazy. I'd be upset.
Like I was pretty irritated. Like I wasn't irritated till like after the fact because like
Got robbed.
I was like, oh, they're probably right. Like there's no way they would get the like the field goal thing wrong. Like there's no way they would get that wrong.
You guys got fucking
Like
hosed.
I start looking it up and I'm like, no, he really made that because I thought he made it. I was like, huh, I thought he made that, and they're like, nope. And I was like, well,
That's weird.
they got a better view than I do, I guess. Like, and then I started looking at it and I was like, no, he made it. and
Them
they robbed
sons of
us.
bitches. Could you imagine like you guys are like undefeated going into this game and you lose to that? Yeah,
That would that would cause like a riot.
they would have to like I don't know, like redo like if they call the game and it's a loss, they would have to like redo the overtime. Like we're doing it again. Fly the teams out.
That's like I've never seen that before. Like them
I haven't
get that
either.
wrong, and then you can't review it.
That just makes no sense. That this could be something that changes that rule, like this one game potentially.
Definitely, this game, I think, which I'll get into like OU later. But this game summed up the Oklahoma season to a T. So you got Florida State, Florida, from the sounds of it.
I do.
That was a great game as well. That was a really, really good game.
It was an insane game. Very, very insane. We were kind of looking good, and it was a little back and forth. And then they kind of took the lead on us a little bit, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. And like we was running the ball pretty well. Travis was fucking a man possessed. There's a clip. It's this one. Watch this shit. Wait, that's not it. Well, that's a good clip regardless. Here it is. Is it? Yeah, watch this shit. No, that's not it either. What the fuck?
Is it just showing that one play like over and was it where he ran it in?
Uh,
I watched most of this game except for like part of the first quarter because I was driving, but I was like listening to it on the
it was like in
radio.
like the third quarter. Yeah, it's this one.
Budweiser.
Sponsor.
That's a terrible beer. Unless you want to pay me to say it's good, then I'll take it.
Crazy. Dude broke 4 tackles.
Dude is nuts. Yeah, I think I
And then
did
they
see
fucking
that
called
one.
him short because he started the slide. He did that twice. They took fucking 2 touchdown runs from him because he started the slide before he got into the end zone, and they called him down.
He's like a lot more mobile than I thought he was. Like I've watched him a couple times in the season, but this game he was really just taking off at certain times.
He's always been mobile. He's just like way more consistent this year with his passing and like decision making. But we also have a vastly improved offensive line. Like we do have like one of the better O lines in the country now. So he's not getting absolutely leveled in the backfield like he was like the last 2 years. I remember last year, like he would drop back and they was just in there. He was getting smacked around all game, running for his life. You see, he's got time to throw, time to make decisions, and we're winning games. But yeah, we was just I thought we was gonna win this game. I knew we could win this game. It did get really kind of close there for a minute. I got a little scared. We kind of hopped out to a lead in the third quarter. We was up by 2 scores, and then they brought it back a little bit. And I was like, oh fuck, here we go again. The last play of the drive or the last drive, they had the ball, and it was kind of interesting. So like we had it at 4th and 18, and they called a pass interference on us, which was complete bullshit. It was the guy was like going to undercut the route, and he had his hand like kind of on his back and like dove out in front of him and hit it with his left arm. And they called the pass interference. And it wasn't. And then they called another penalty for us to kind of, I guess, negate that. Where the fuck is it? Maybe it was like they didn't call a penalty when it should have been. I think it was a face mask that they just didn't call. So, but
I
yeah,
think, I think I saw that.
they had it down to the 26, and they could have tied. Very, very crazy game. This is the highest scoring game in this rivalry's history, which is wild. We've been playing since the 50s every year. We broke our 3-game skid against them. They beat us the last 3 games before this. So we finally got them. Fucking Trey Benson, 111 yards, 3 touchdowns. The
He's
guy's
going off.
the dude's a fucking beast. He might go to the league this year. I hope he comes back.
It was a
Um,
really good game. I watched most of it. It was really
uh,
entertaining. It was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
I did too. After they scored the first time, I was like, oh shit, we're in trouble. I knew
Well,
it.
you guys fumbled like the first drive or something, but then they just like stalled out. I think the next drive.
Yeah, I was like,
But
oh
but when you
no.
guys fumbled, I was like, oh
I was like, we're fucked. We're gonna lose. The
It's like
last
the
drive.
worst way to start a game.
That last drive, I was sweating. I was sweating. Very, very nervous. But looking ahead, depending on who we get in the bowl game, I'm curious if our starters actually play. Because if we win this bowl game, we'll have 10 wins because we're sitting at rank 13 right now. We win the bowl game. I think that's enough to push us into the top 10 to end the
Easily.
season,
Easily.
which is an incredible like comeback from winning, I think 5 games last year. And this is only Norvell's third year coaching. So, and then the 3 games we did lose were very winnable
There's a strong possibility you guys could end up in the top 10 after this
to start the
weekend.
year.
Well, because K State could possibly lose, Utah could possibly lose, and
So
Clemson could possibly lose. So you have 3 teams above you that could possibly lose.
true. And then
So
after
there's a
all,
good chance you guys end up close to the top 10, and like just
yeah.
that, like this week, just based off of losses. Then you win a bowl game.
Well, yeah,
Looking at
Utah or USC will lose, but I don't think we would jump USC.
no, you wouldn't jump USC. But yeah, I'd say there's a good shot you guys could end the year kind of
Top.
sitting where Penn State's sitting.
That'd be cool.
Maybe at 7. Like say Tennessee loses their bowl game.
I'd be very, very happy with that. Very, very happy. Going into the year, I thought we might make a bowl game, and then we just came out like completely different than what everybody expected us to be. Outside of those 3 games where we lost, where we didn't play at all on defense. I still think we need to do defensive coordinator. We cannot stop the run. Can't do it. Look at this fucking stat line from Anthony Richardson in this game. 9 for 27. The dude he threw the ball 9 times. That's all they do was run. We could not fucking stop it. And then he got hurt. He got hit, like his hip.
Yeah,
He
and
got
they
hit.
put John Kitna's son in for a few plays.
Yeah, and then so that guy didn't throw a pass at all. And I'm like, okay, they're gonna run it up the middle, first down. They're gonna run it up the middle again because they're not gonna throw it. Big chunk. I'm like, and then he comes back in. I think he might have thrown the ball once or twice, and all they did was run the ball. Still couldn't stop it. I know, like, just our defensive play calling was, to be fair, it was kind of bad. We could have lost this game very easily. So I'm glad we pulled that out. This is like our biggest game of the year. We always want to beat Florida, want to beat the rivals. So we beat Miami, we beat Florida. I'm happy with the year, very happy. So I'm just curious to see who leaves and who we get in the portal. That'll determine how well we do next year. If Travis comes back, Vincent comes back, and we can fill up our holes on defense, I think we have a shot for the championship next year, or at least the playoffs, bare minimum.
Yeah, no, I think Florida State's going to be probably top 10 preseason next year.
Just crazy.
Jordan
Crazy.
Travis is probably going to be, top 5 Heisman contender. There's going to be a lot of expectations. Hopefully that doesn't weigh the team down, because that can also really hurt a team. But I mean, Florida State's definitely turning in the right direction, I think.
We also play LSU next year.
Again, okay.
Yeah, we play them in Orlando this time.
Neutral site, so
that's a fucking home game for us.
Yeah, so I mean, looking pretty good overall. I mean, we'll see how like transfer portal is crazy. It's just about to start. Like pretty much after these conference championship games, like transfer portal is like starting,
Yeah, we
and it's
really need
free agency. It's pretty first free agency. And it's gonna be nuts.
we need defensive tackles so bad and some linebackers. Our secondary could use a little bit of help too. We should just go ahead, like maybe get some backups on the O line and like depending on like offensive weapons, just go all fucking defense on the portal. We'd be unstoppable.
Transfer portal is making like just makes me nervous just to think about because
Like your
you
best players could just leave.
you could like it could work out really well. Like you might get a bunch of new guys coming, or your best
Yeah.
guys just leave. Like Florida State's not really in that situation. I think mostly everybody's going to come back that isn't going to the NFL. But like
And all the
OU,
and all
we
the
could
people
easily
we
lose good players.
yeah, and all the people we got in the portal, like we hit on like almost all of them, which is wild. Like our whole we rebuilt our team off the portal. I fucking love it. Incredible year. I'm happy. I feel like there's something else I wanted to say about them. Yeah, Norvell maybe for coach of the year.
Strong possibility.
I think TCU's coach or maybe Josh Heupel gets it.
So this whole year, I've had Sonny Dykes at TCU kind of as my coach of the year.
Again, like if he finishes the season undefeated, he should get it.
I
That's
mean, this is
insane.
his first year at TCU.
That's insane. He should get it.
But I mean, if there's nominees, which I think they'll announce all those after this weekend as well. Like I'm pretty sure Norvell is probably going to be a nominee
I think so.
for. I mean, going from where they were last year to where they are this year. Sonny Dykes is definitely the favorite, and then yeah, Josh Heupel is probably number two. But I would say Sonny Dykes is probably going to win it. What a way to just end the season.
I'm very sad the season's almost over. It's been an incredible year. Maybe not so much for like OU, but it's still like
It's been a fun college football season.
Yeah.
Period. I've been like, it's kind of sucks as though you sucks during the season because it's been such a fun season.
yeah, it makes you not like as invested in the like entire year as you would like to be. Like I've been like all in on the fucking college football because like partly because my team's also doing pretty well, but just the upsets every week, another week, we're still upsets. This week was fucking crazy for upsets. I was
This
like,
was a really good weekend.
remember we was like, oh, there might not be any, and then there was like 4.
There are we gonna say it this week? This is the week where upsets end. I don't know.
Let's see. I'll pull it up and then we'll come back and look at it. So we did that was game of the week, or we did team talk. We just did that, right? Or that was game of the week.
We did game of the week, and then we picked our teams to for the game.
Okay,
But we haven't gone deep.
I'm pretty much good on my team talk, so we'll do best
Yeah.
performance next.
Which I had Michigan, so
I also had Michigan, yeah, and we
we've
pretty much
kind
covered
of
them a little bit.
kind of already sucked them off today.
I'm still surprised. I said it like I said earlier. I'd picked them to beat Ohio State early in the season, but Corum goes down, and I was like, nope, it's over. And then they just found a way to dominate all across the board. So it's crazy to see. I'm happy it happened. I was like so happy to see all the Ohio State fans crying and being mad. It was great. I hate Ohio State.
That was so funny, and just the how quiet that crowd got.
Yeah, I'm surprised they weren't leaving. Like, I'll give them props. They didn't leave. They were getting beat down.
See Michigan planting the flag.
I heard about it. I didn't see it though. I love it.
They planted the flag, and then they asked Harbaugh like if he was like mad at his players, and he's like, "I want to get that flag and hang it up in a museum or something." Like said something crazy.
The fucking Michigan Hall of Fame.
Michigan and Ohio State, just the hatred between those teams. It's so real. It's so real. Like
arguably the biggest rivalry in college football. Maybe that one and the Iron Bowl.
Like that one, the Iron Bowl, OU Texas.
That's probably the biggest three, I'd say.
Yeah, and then you got USC, UCLA, Florida, Florida State. Kind of those in-state rivalries are really big. Clemson, South
USC,
Carolina.
Notre Dame,
Yeah,
like the Army, Air Force,
Army
Army,
Air Force actually might be like number two. Like thinking
Army,
about that, or
Navy.
Army Navy, because that game's this
I think
weekend or
that's the
next
bigger
weekend.
one. Dude, you see the uniforms that they're rocking?
Those are badass.
They look incredible. They always be busting out insane uniforms.
Both of their uniforms look really good.
I love it.
I'm gonna watch it
Uh,
because like it's like those teams also hate each other. Like it's always fun to watch.
yeah. Okay, so most disappointing performance. I got
LSU.
LSU for sure.
Yeah.
And it was 4-7 going in this game, and LSU was ranked 5. What the fuck happened? I didn't watch this game, so I don't know what happened. I mean, looking at the stats, they only lost by 15, which is a decent bit. One turnover. Yards ain't it's not too crazy. Possessions close. First down, they're close. No touchdown passes. Let's see anything. I was looking for like some pick sixes or something. It was pretty close whole first half.
This is just like
Oh, fumble touchdown. Okay. That's what probably did it. Kind of gave A&M the momentum. Yeah, I'd say that's probably it.
how do you lose this game if you're LSU? Like it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No, it
Like
really
at
doesn't.
all. And
Really doesn't.
speaking of these Alabama fans that think Alabama should get in over Ohio State, like this is one of your losses was to LSU, and look what just happened to them. Like your schedule does not look good.
And then your other lost to South Carolina.
Yeah, so get out of here with that. I don't want to hear it.
And then the other one was Georgia. They lost to Georgia as well. LSU's lost to A&M, us, and Tennessee.
A&M, man, this was a wild
They,
game.
they needed they
They
needed
fired their
this.
offensive coordinator after this game too.
They,
Um,
they needed it though. Still
they
won't make
have
a
so
bowl
many
game
people
though.
They have so many people leaving. Jimbo, man, he better have like a 9-win season next year. He's probably out like 8 to 9 wins. I think if he's like 7-5, they'll probably still fire him.
Even after this game, he's still like my number one on the hot seat. Even though he's not gonna get fired, he's just like he's just there.
He's the worst coach to ever not get fired. Like after a season like this,
It's insane.
because I mean, it'd be one thing. This was like Jimbo's first year. He's been here like 6 years or something. Like it's been a while. Like he's been here like 5-6 years.
Yeah, it might be 6.
And then they had like the best recruiting class and
In college football history. Well,
all this
that's for
stuff.
next year though.
Still, like just the hype they had behind him, like preseason ranked 6.
Watch they go undefeated with that fucking recruiting class.
I'm kind of curious if like any of those guys haven't flipped because I haven't really been keeping track because all these guys flip. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah,
I,
there's not
I
really any point in keeping track unless it's like your own guys.
even then I don't even like to keep track because I just don't want to get disappointed when they flip. Like we've had
You're like,
guys
oh,
flip.
we got some 5 stars, and then at the end of the year, like we have no 5 stars. You're like, okay, sick.
Like I wish like when they signed, it's like no, you were stuck here for a year. Like I hate the fact that they could just be like, oh, I'm committed, and you lose
Texas is like,
you
here,
lose a
pick
couple
some
games.
money.
Yeah, or they get an NIL deal, or your team loses a couple, and they're like, I'm not feeling this.
Yeah,
Stupid. Did you see that Florida quarterback? This is like another like just weird internet thing where he like was rapping to a song and he said the N-word or something. He got his
he lost the
scholarship
scholarship.
revoked, and there's a bunch of people like in the comments like the woke culture, and I'm like, okay, let's chill for a minute. First off, like he should know. He posted it. Like he should know better to not do that, and he's gonna lose his scholarship. I don't know if it's necessarily like woke culture, like he said. Like, I don't think he's like racist or anything. He could be. Like, there's a very strong possibility he is, but I don't think that incident
Constitutes racism.
makes him racist because a lot of people do rap along to those lyrics, even though they probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you say a word like that, you're probably not gonna. It's not gonna end well, especially when you post it. Like Florida, you guys don't want him anyway. He's brain dead. Like, come on.
I wonder if he gets picked up by another team, or if he's just gonna have to go to some fucking trash school.
So if he's like really good, I could see him getting picked up by kind of like a smaller team, and then maybe transferring up to a bigger team once it's all died down, because it will die down.
He had a scholarship to Florida, so he had to be at least above average.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
he's a 4-star recruit too, so that's pretty good.
I just thought it was crazy how like many people were like mad about it. Probably Florida fans. Probably like
Mad that he lost a scholarship.
they're like, we can't say a word now. Like you guys have like really never been able to say that. Like I don't know why it's all of a sudden like
a big deal.
We can't say the N-word, man. What?
What is this? This is racist.
This is woke culture. I'm like, whoa, like this like woke versus anti-woke thing is just like
stupid.
Both sides are extremely annoying to me because they both are making deals out of things that are not big deals.
I don't know what the fuck's going on with like, the time we're living in right now. It's awful.
Because they're like something else like really, really crazy happened today. It has nothing to do with football. It was like a like have you heard about the whole monkey like pox situation?
No.
So it's kind of like a disease that's spreading that's I guess pretty bad. It's not like COVID level or anything, but it's spreading and it's like pretty severe when people get it. But they're like, we can't call it monkeypox anymore. It's racist. I'm like, what? Like, you're racist for thinking that's the first thing you think of. It's just like we're living in a
very weird time. I hate it.
It's like I feel like life at this current moment is just like a Dave Chappelle skit. Like every day, like just turn on the news, it's like a Dave Chappelle skit. Something crazy. Skit. Yeah, something weird. It's kind of funny. Like once you stop taking it so seriously, it's really not that.
I don't take it serious at all.
I find a lot of humor in it nowadays. Like
I'm just like, what have we become?
Then you got like the anti-woke people, which to me are like kind of annoying too, because they're just like something really, really like somebody could do something really, really messed up, and they'll be like woke culture, man. Like you can't like I can't give an example that won't get us banned, but you know what I mean. Like you can't do this anymore.
I'm just waiting for the internet to get shut down.
You can't say women can't vote anymore. Like you can't try to take away their rights anymore. You kidding this woke
honestly,
culture?
I think the internet getting shut down would be like for a small period of time would be like the best thing to happen to the world.
So Twitter is like kind of on the way out.
Yeah.
And I logged off Twitter a longest time. I have not got back on Twitter. Like I've only got back on Facebook and Instagram. And it was really just for the intention of like really just sharing this, which I
don't really like much.
Twitter. Twitter, man. So Elon bought it, which like it is what it is. But like advertisers are pulling out because like they don't like Elon. And I think Elon is doing a great service by making Twitter go away. Like I don't know if that was his intention. It probably wasn't.
I don't think he gives a shit regardless.
I think he was trying to make Twitter better, but if Twitter goes away, like thank you, Elon. Like this is what the world needed was Twitter to go away. I think actually, yeah, the internet shutting down would be great. Like for
a month or something.
Like yeah, or a couple weeks. Just like no internet for a couple weeks. Like get your head straight.
Get your fucking life together, people.
That was kind of
or like social media getting shut down. Maybe not the internet, but like just social media in general. They just lock it that you like nobody can log in for like 2 weeks. The world would go fucking crazy. It'd be riots.
this is why people like get so worked up about things though, like this Florida thing is like they spend too much time on the internet, so they see like constantly stuff that makes them mad, and then they get like really like passionate
They
about it.
start believing shit, and there's like, yeah, I think I agree with that. Everybody else is.
I mean, like I feel like if you got off the internet and just like when I took like I wasn't off the internet, but I was off social media for like a good like 3-4 ish months. That was like a really like peaceful time. Like all these issues like all that people are fighting about just didn't cross my mind because like people don't talk about that in like real life, like in person usually,
Yeah.
unless
Or
you're
you,
like
like
unless you're doing something like this where we like just kind of talk about stuff.
right. And then a lot of the stuff people say on social media, you would never say that to a person in real life. Never. People have no fucking balls like to talk to people the way that they talk on the internet.
Oh yeah.
Some people would, yeah. There's people that will, but the vast majority of people, no shot.
I love the like the people that are like everybody's offended by everything, but it's like you also get like everybody has something that will offend them. Like I don't know why people act like they don't get offended by something.
You just gotta
Like
find it.
yeah, you might not be offended by somebody saying the N word, but like you'll get offended when somebody sits down during the national anthem, like
Or they say you can't drive for shit.
or something that
Yeah.
really irritates you. Like everybody could find something to get offended about. So it's like maybe like I don't like when somebody does this to me, so maybe I shouldn't like offend them in this way because I don't like
Yeah.
when I get offended by my thing. But we'll never get to that point. We're downhill from
We're
here.
too far gone.
We're never coming back. We're going downhill from here.
The end is near.
Oh, that was a major tangent. I'll probably just have to cut that and make it a different video or something.
Got the hot seat coaches. You got anybody new?
No, kind of the same guys I had last week, and then there's certain guys that left, and
I actually added Ryan Day from Ohio State. I don't
really,
I don't a lot of the fans like want him gone. Like I've seen a lot of people calling for him to be replaced. Like I guess they're mad because they're one not making the Big Ten championship. They didn't beat Michigan, and they're also not competing for a national championship. Like those are the only three things they care about. And he's missed on all three of them in two straight years. So
I think we'll see where he's going. So
I don't. I only put him there because people are saying that. Like I don't personally think he should be fired, but
it could happen. Like fan pressure is a real thing.
yeah, exactly. I don't think
Like
it's hard to really manage Ohio State. Like that team kind of like builds itself. You just have to like execute and finish with that a team like that. Like that's how Alabama would probably be for like a while. Like Urban Meyer kind of set Ohio State up for success, I think.
Well, actually, I think even before he took over, they were good because they had a
Yeah.
what's his face, what was that, Jim Tressel, and then he got fired because of the whole Terrell Pryor getting paid for stuff.
Yeah.
So they let him go, and Ohio State was already good. And then Urban Meyer made him even better. Now
Yeah.
Ryan Day's here, and he hasn't done anything really wrong.
No, but he hasn't done anything realistically.
Yeah, I mean, other than the
I mean, he's beat Michigan once and had one Big Ten championship. Like
yeah,
3
and then
years ago,
he had
his first
one
year.
he had one playoff victory where
His first year.
and they lost to Bama in the national championship. So I mean, it's tough. Like I don't know, Ohio State, like you said, it's kind of like it can run itself.
Yeah,
So it's kind of hard to find a coach because it's going to look so good either way that you don't know what you need to take the next step. I don't think they need to fire him right now. I think if like they like
I don't either, but I think
they slowly decline, then yeah.
I think there is a little bit. His seats warmed just a little bit.
I think Michigan's definitely the tide's definitely on their side right now. It's 2 straight years.
Yeah, they got
this year was at home.
Next year's in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, and then I mean, this is the Michigan's second year going to the playoffs. Like I was watching the playoff committee rankings. They're saying even if they lose
to win,
I think this is a better Michigan team than last year. Like last year they made it. I think this year they have a real shot of winning it.
Yeah, I'd say I don't know, 30-40% chance. which is pretty good odds,
Yeah,
I
I
would
got.
say.
Did you see Oregon's offensive coordinator left and took the Arizona State job? He is only 32 years old.
That's pretty impressive.
Head coach of Arizona State.
Oh, that was our fucking old offensive coordinator.
Really?
What the fuck's that guy's name? Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was our offensive coordinator before he went to Oregon. I didn't like him. His play
He did great at Oregon.
because I think he came when we got Willie Taggart, and then I think he stayed a little bit after. I could be a little off on my timeline, but I just didn't enjoy like he was just calling like screens and fucking little bubble screens and like that was like his playbook. It seemed like it was terrible. Granted, we had no offensive line, so that could be it might not even be all his fault with how bad our offense was.
He might
So
not have had the talent to call the plays he wanted.
true, it's very true.
Plus,
So
I mean, then he moved to the Pac-12 this year, which was like, the Pac-12 doesn't care
yeah,
about
no
defense. So,
defense.
like,
So
you're obviously going to look really good.
and you got talent from Oregon.
Yeah, plus Bo Nix came in and did a lot of work for him. I don't know how he'll do at Arizona State. I think it'll take him a few years. I think they should
Especially as a head coach now. Now he's got the whole team to manage instead of just offense.
young coaches. It's becoming more of a thing, and it's always offensive coaches though. It's hardly ever like a young defensive coach that.
I think it takes a lot of time to really develop like a defensive mind. Like you have to do it for like a while to be good at it.
Defense is more complicated than offense, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
there's so many schemes and just different ways you can run a defense. Like there's so many.
Well, I mean, like there's things that like most teams struggle with. Like you're talking about Florida State needing a run defense. A lot of teams struggle with run defense, though. It's kind of hard to have a good run defense.
Yeah, you might have like one good defensive tackle, or you have no good defensive tackles, and you got like one good run stopping linebacker. It's kind of hard to stop the run without like blitzing every play. But then like they're just gonna eat you up with the play action or with the slant.
Yeah, or they'll, maybe if it's working most of the game, they're still gonna burn you on a couple of plays.
Yeah, they'll get you
That's what you're
eventually,
doing.
unless you're just playing a inferior offensive line. But yeah, it's very hard.
And the game's just changed so much. Like football used to be like much more of a running
Yeah,
offense was like kind of the predominant thing. I remember when I was like a kid, like I cared more about who OU's running back was than the quarterback because
I
like
feel like
that's
it
just the way it
shifted
was.
back a little bit more towards running. Not a lot, but a little bit.
I mean, we're seeing it. I think there's probably a couple running backs that might go first round this
There's been a
year.
handful of running backs that have won the Heisman in like the last 10 years, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean we've had Derrick Henry. We had I feel like we had at least another one since then. Maybe not. Maybe it's all been quarterbacks. It's a lot of quarterbacks.
Who's the other fucking Alabama running back that won it? I can't remember his name.
So Devontae Smith won as a receiver.
He was before Derrick Henry.
Oh, before Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram.
Yeah, you had Mark Ingram.
And then see that like that's kind of like towards the end of the running back golden age. I feel like.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, I think you're right. There's like a lot more focus on running backs. Like even like at OU this season, we relied heavily on a running game.
Same with us. We have 3 running backs. We're a running first team.
I think what's happened is, and this is why I think like football will never just be predominantly one, is I think as it's become more of a passing game, the defensive guys have gotten smaller because they need to be quicker.
And move.
And because of that, if you get a really strong running back, they can run all over you.
Absolutely.
And then it'll shift a little bit more to where it's harder to run, and then passing will come back. I mean, like right now it's still passing, but I think it could shift to running like in the next 10 years.
Yeah, a little bit more.
At least make it more like 50-50. I want to see another running back Heisman. I do love quarterbacks, but like it does get old just watching a quarterback win every single year.
I think they should just separate QBs from the Heisman.
They can't because the Heisman's so so unique of award. Like the Heisman's my favorite award, like in all of sports, because it's such like a bigger event. Like they have a ceremony, and
Like, they got to do something to just kind of even up the playing field for the positions because yeah, the QB has the hand on the ball every down, and they decide what's going to happen for the most part. So like they could just be stingy and throw it or whatever the fuck they want to do. And yeah, they get all the yards and all the attention, but it's not fun seeing the QB win every year.
so
Just about.
last year was the first year they put like max 4 people get invited. Maybe they should put like max 2 QBs get invited. Or
Yeah,
some
that'd be
like you have to invite one defensive player and then one skill position player and then 2 quarterbacks. I think that'd be fair.
yeah, and then look at those people, those four that you pick, look at their stats and be like, okay, this defensive dude had like fucking 10 interceptions. Like, what's more valuable, that or what the QB did on this team that maybe didn't even make it that far in the playoffs or something like that?
Some defensive guys have gotten robbed. And Dominican Sue honestly probably should have won over Mark Ingram that year.
Aiden Hutchinson had a pretty good year too.
He kind of got robbed. Manti Te'o. I mean, well, Manti Te'o didn't really get robbed because he lost to Manziel, but like
Yeah.
he put up like a Heisman winning season.
In probably like any other year.
Chase Young got invited one year. I think did Baker win that year? Kyler, somebody like that one. I think it was an OU quarterback. But Chase Young had a really good season on Ohio State on defense. I want to see like a truly dominant defensive player again. It's been a while. Just like a Ndamukong Suh type defensive lineman that's just sacking people.
I want to see a cornerback just go fucking crazy, just lock some shit down, like Dion,
like a Honey Badger. Was that his name?
Yeah, Tyrann Mathieu.
He was fire that year.
He's pretty good.
LSU, one of the best LSU teams, and they lost in the championship. Could have been the best team of all time had they won.
Hate to see it.
Just like there's another team like that recently. Well, Georgia last year. So like, if they hadn't lost to Bama, they would have probably gone down as one of the better teams of all time if they're undefeated, but they weren't. LSU has like some of the best teams of all time. Like the 2019 LSU team might quite possibly be the best of all time.
It's like them and like the 2001 Miami team.
2001 Miami. Probably
like
like
2016 Alabama or some shit like that. 2018 maybe.
Yeah.
Probably the year they had Derrick Henry, I think is what it was.
Yeah, I'd say probably like the 2006 like USC is up there when they had like Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush. They had Ladale White, who I don't know if you remember him, but he was a really good running back in the NFL as well.
No, I don't remember that.
He so there was what's the guy for the Titans? The Chris Johnson, was that his name? Really fast running back. He was like his like number 2 guy.
Chris Johnson was fucking nuts.
That dude was so fast. That dude was so fast. They don't make running backs like that anymore. That's what I'm saying. Like they don't like running backs aren't like that like anymore.
It's unfortunate. I like fast running backs, like very fast. The shifty boys.
I think I'm turning into like kind of like an old head. Like when it comes to football, like I wanted to be back in the old days.
Back in my day, we had good running backs.
Good running backs.
All right. Comeback performance of the week. At Oregon State. This was crazy. They was down 31-10. That's 3 whole touchdowns going into the end of the third quarter. So 31-17 going in the last quarter of the game. And they only scored a field goal, and Oregon State came back with their quarterback only throwing 60 yards.
That's a terrible performance by that guy. Was he the only guy that played?
Probably
60 yards.
Yeah, I don't.
2 touchdowns.
I don't know
2
what
interceptions.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to take a look at this.
Okay, so I guess we'll start from here.
Touchdown. Okay.
Oh, he took a 64-yard kickoff. Oh, 48-yard return plus a penalty. So it was at the 36-yard line. So they only needed to go 36 yards for touchdown. Okay, it checks out.
And then Oregon looks like fumbled the very next drive, so that makes sense.
They fumbled at their 13-yard line.
Yeah,
So
so
they had a
that
short
gives
field.
them right next to us. So they score a touchdown again. So at this point, it's getting pretty close. And
Turnover on downs at their 29. Okay, another short field. And then they turn over on downs at the 3
so that's second to
to
last
lose.
turnover on downs. I feel like they could have punted it in that
Yeah, that doesn't make
situation.
sense. Like they're
They were
up by
up.
3. How far did they have to go? Oh, they only had 1 yard.
I mean, I
But
see
and then they run
it.
it with Bo Nix. He's got a fucked up foot or ankle or whatever the fuck was wrong with him. I don't really understand that. Terrible, terrible decision by fuck's their coach's name. Starts with an M. Miami's old coach. Is that Manny some shit?
Wait for who?
Oregon's head coach.
Oh, Dan Lanning.
Oh, Dan Lanning. I don't know why I was thinking it was the
He
dude
was
at
he was Georgia's our defense coordinator, and you're thinking of
yeah.
Mario Cristobal, who
Yeah.
went from Oregon to Miami.
Okay. I'm all turned around. Yeah, that's a terrible decision.
Yeah, I don't
And,
know.
and Oregon State had 3 turnovers.
Oregon, man, they're
Almost 10 less first downs, way less possession time, over 100 less yards. Their quarterback was basically non-existent. This is a crazy comeback. I would be fucking so mad if I was an Oregon fan.
what a way
So
for
mad.
Bo Nix to end this crazy season. It kind of sucks for him.
He had a really, really good year.
Fantastic. I don't know if he'll get drafted. He probably will. Like probably like mid rounds.
I honestly I would pick him. I think he's got talent. He's really fucking fast. He doesn't need to run. He's got a pretty big arm. If they could maybe shape up his accuracy a little bit. I don't think he's the most inaccurate guy either. I mean, he throws the ball 41 times, but
He's not super inaccurate. I think he's
got talent.
he
I
kind of
think he's a
checks all
little
your
small
boxes.
though, if I'm not mistaken. What's his? Oh no, he's 6'2".
6'2",
Oh yeah,
213.
he's fine. I would pick him. I'd be okay with it.
I don't know why he wouldn't go like second round at least. If not, I mean,
At the highest
on
second
on
round.
on like on paper, he kind of looks like first round talent. Though, if you're just like looking at his stats and his size, and
I mean,
you factor in the fact that like these aren't all his touchdowns because he's ran for a bunch of touchdowns as
threw for almost
well.
3,400 yards, 500 rushing yards, and 14 touchdowns. So like, that's like pretty much 41 total
Yeah,
touchdowns. Pretty good QBR.
it's only 6
Not a lot of
interceptions.
interceptions. And he threw the ball fucking 378 yards, 71% completion percentage. That's pretty good. Only sacked 3 times, so
I mean, like, there's like kind of looking at him like there's not a lot he's doing wrong. I don't know why you wouldn't want a guy like him, and he's a good leader too.
yeah, man. This one makes sense. It's first game of the year, and it's fucking or Georgia's defense. So this one was a shootout. He didn't really have too much of a bad game. It's probably their defense fight, I guess. But and then he's pretty much kind of banged up and can't run on this one. Like negative 5
He still
yards.
didn't even like play. Like he didn't pass bad.
He probably got hurt
65
in this.
completion ain't bad.
He probably got hurt in this game because he only had negative 3 yards on that. Every other fucking game, he's running a decent bit. So I would take him. I'd be cool if my team took him as a backup, and then maybe he turns into something. I feel like he could be a little diamond in the rough potentially.
Great season for Bo Nix, man.
Hate to see him go out like it.
I hope he plays the bowl game. Just kind of
Maybe try to raise his draft stock a little bit. Well, he's if he's still hurt, I just would not play.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Anybody that's hurt needs to just kind of chill.
I don't remember what the fuck's wrong with him. Let's see if it says.
Ankle.
It's 11 days ago. That was probably before the
The Utah game.
I mean, the Washington game, it's okay before the Utah game. Like injured it at Washington. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't play if I was him. Unless he's 100%.
Oregon, I think they're back though. Like honestly, I think Oregon's back.
I gotta find someone to replace him because his backup was a true freshman, I think is what that said, or a redshirt freshman.
I think
So unless that guy is gonna be like really good, then they need somebody to come in.
I think Sam Hartman would fit in well there. I could see it.
I think the slow mesh could work there, but I don't think
He's not as mobile, so it's kind of he's limited.
Yeah, he's got a really, really big arm.
I think if like, well, I mean, I don't think DJ would go there. I think DJ's entering the transfer portal. Like, I really do. I have this hunch about it. Maybe he stays if like they win the ACC championship and then like go to a New Year's Six and then
if they let him
play good in that.
If they even play him.
But I think he's leaving. Like I just have this suspicion that he's kind of out of there. I think he's just not fitting well there. He's not a good fit.
I think he could fit in well at Oregon. I mean, I feel like they would probably prefer a mobile quarterback in their system. And he can run. He's a pretty big dude. I mean, he's probably not as fast as Bo Nix, but
I think there's a lot of options for Oregon because I mean there's going to be plenty of quarterbacks that aren't necessarily household names because they're sitting behind somebody that's really good that we don't even really know about that are actually super, super talented. Like there's probably a handful of those guys out there. Like I heard Ole Miss's backup, he's entering the transfer portal. Apparently he's really good, but he's been behind Jackson Dart, who's had a really good season. So not a lot of people have really seen him play. Hudson Card from Texas is entering the transfer portal.
That guy's a bum.
I don't know because like the only game I really watched of him was where he was limping around against Alabama.
So. True. All right. Well, I guess we can check next week's schedule.
Let's see what's going on next week.
Conference championships. All right, we got Utah USC at 7 on Friday.
I get to watch that one. I'm not gonna get to watch a lot of the ones on Saturday. That's what sucks.
Yeah, I'll watch that one for sure. I'm just glad it's fucking not late as shit. I think that's why they put it on at Fridays. That way we don't have to compete with these evening games because nobody would. This game would be like 9:30, and everybody's like, "No, I'm good." So that should be. I'm picking. I think I'm gonna pick USC on that. I think they get the rematch dub for sure.
Yeah, I think USC by like 3.
Solid. K-State, TCU. Going TCU. I think their offense is just a little too much for K-State to kind of compete with scoring wise.
I think K-State wins by 14.
Oh, okay. You got to redeem himself on the upset.
I've kind of I've had this hunch that K-State's going to be the team that's done it, like that's going to do it because they played when AJ Martinez like initially had gotten hurt and it was still a close game even without him.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think K-State, I think they have a real shot at winning. I'm not gonna be surprised if TCU like comes out and just whoops their ass because TCU's on a roll, especially after that Iowa State game. But K-State is really, really being slept on. And that game is not actually a home game for TCU. It's it kind of is because they play in Fort Worth and it's at the Cowboy Stadium. So it's essentially a home game for them.
I think it could potentially be like too big of a game for TCU, like, one game away from making the playoffs, like, and they just drop the ball. That's a pretty good chance. I think the only upset potentially is North Carolina over Clemson, but LSU gets blown out by Georgia. I think Tulane beats UCF pretty heavily.
Yeah, Michigan beats Purdue without trying, in my opinion.
I think Boise State, Fresno State might be okay. I like watching Boise State.
Boise State's cool team. So actually, I don't even think North Carolina beating Clemson would be that much of an upset
I don't either, but
because
like rankings wise on this list, that's
yeah, I think North Carolina is actually going to beat Clemson, not because North Carolina is so much better than Clemson, but I think Clemson they don't have as much to play for now. Like they thought they were going to the playoffs, and now it's been taken away from them. North Carolina has had a few weeks to kind of accept the fact that they're not going to the playoffs
right.
and kind of get their head back in it. Where I think Clemson is mentally done,
Yeah, and they're playing for the championship, so North Carolina might come out hot.
and it looks like it's in Charlotte.
Yeah,
That what it says? Yeah.
which is crazy. Very
All right.
crazy.
Yeah.
Charlotte, North Carolina, yeah.
So I mean, it's at North Carolina.
And it's a fucking big rivalry between these two. Kind
I
of.
think I think North Carolina wins. I mean, yeah, actually, I'd actually be. This is kind of a bold thing, but I'd be surprised if Clemson won this game, just where they are mentally as a team.
Yeah,
Unless Will Shipley just runs all over him.
I'll take that action. I'm gonna go with North Carolina as well. That's the only non-favored team to. I think Clemson's probably favored to win this one. So
So
watch
out of
Purdue.
the,
Watch Purdue beat Michigan.
so they were saying that even if Michigan lost, they would still get in.
I think so.
Which I mean, yeah, I think they would. And they
They would
kind
just
of
drop to the 4 spot.
like if they started struggling. If I was like Jim Harbaugh, I'd just take out the starters and act like I'm losing on purpose. Like I'm just trying to keep my guys healthy.
You were guaranteed they get blown out and then they don't make it and they put like Batman over them. I'm like,
Uh,
what the fuck?
So I think Utah could easily beat USC. I think K-State could easily beat TCU. And I think North Carolina could easily beat Clemson, although I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if like USC or TCU won.
Yeah, 3 of
Um,
these games could be toss-ups.
could LSU beat Georgia? I don't think so, but
No.
I wouldn't give them like a 0% chance. I'd
If
give
they
them
play like
like
they did against Bama, then yeah, maybe.
I think
But
it I think I give them like a 30%
they
chance.
did just lose to A&M, which I don't understand how that happens.
See, that's kind of my thing though.
They
It's like
needed to win that game, and then they can beat Georgia, and then they're in the playoff. First 2 lost team.
I wonder if they'll. I'm kind of thinking LSU is going to be in the same boat as Clemson. Like they were right there, and then they lost it, so they don't have as much to play for.
But it is the SEC championship, though, so that's a lot to play for.
That is true, and maybe Brian Kelly ripped into them and kind of lit a fire under them after losing to Texas A&M.
I would hope so.
Maybe that was like a low point, and they just like they want to redeem themselves. But I mean, Georgia is just too much talent to overcome, in my opinion.
I'm kind of sad. These 3 games are all on the same time. Like I kind of wanted to watch these 2, so I'm gonna have to be flipping through fucking 3 of them at the same time.
Yeah, I have a birthday party throughout most of the day.
I'll give you updates.
So I get to watch like the very beginning of TCU K-State, probably like first quarter. And then
You'll probably be able to watch like this last one.
yeah, I'll probably get to watch Clemson, North Carolina, and Michigan, Purdue. And then yeah, I should be able to catch USC, Utah on Friday. I don't really see why
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Hell yeah. Well, you got anything college football wise you want to discuss? If not, we can roll into World Cup ish stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're just rolling into the last week. I'm just sad it's over. But yeah, I'm
Me
kind
too.
of
Me too, man.
that
I'm
will
gonna.
conclude our college football episode.
Yep.
Roll Tide.
See you guys. I'm sure we'll probably do a video next Monday, more than likely, and kind of discuss the conference championships. And then after that, maybe one to kind of maybe cover all the bowl games, or maybe like 2, kind of break it into half before the playoffs.
Yeah, so not a whole lot of more football episodes from us this year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like there's not a lot to talk about after like this